2018 Monaco Grand Prix with commentary from Martin Brundle and David Croft.
Welcome along then. After all the celebrations and the parties and the functions, it's time to get down to the serious business and the real reason that we're here on the French Riviera. It's race time in Monaco, round 6 of the Formula 1 World Championship in 2018, and for 78 laps we're going to blast round this 2-mile circuit. One DRS zone into the first of 19 corners at Saint-Devote. The cars then rise up towards the casino and plunge back down towards the harbour once again. Into turn 1, accidents happen. Ask Max Verstappen, this has never been a really happy hunting ground, and it hasn't been again for the Dutchman this year. Gerhard Berger and Damon Hill have had mixed fortunes over the years. In '93, they were both ending up with an early finish. And Kimi Raikkonen, winner here before, but not in 2008. 10 years ago, he ruined his race, and Adrian Sutil's. We have the tyre compounds that are the softest in the Pirelli range. It's the Super Soft, the Ultra Soft, and the debut in 2018 for the Hyper Soft tyre. Just how long will that last at the start of the race? And it should be a one-stop strategy. It looks an absolute picture still, Monaco, but the temperature has dropped. Clouds have come over. There is a slight chance of rain in the air, but we don't need rain to spice this race up, Martin Brundle, because anything can happen at Monaco, and over the years, it certainly has.
Certainly the big challenge. This is the one the drivers know they will be especially graded on. The driver can make the difference around this track. It's not just all about the car, the downforce, the designers. It's more about what they can achieve too.
This is the way the grid looks. Daniel Ricciardo, a second career pole. He starts from the front with his former teammate Sebastian Vettel, a winner here last year, alongside him. Lewis Hamilton has Kimi Raikkonen for company on the second row. Behind these, Valtteri Bottas with his lowest start since crashing in Q3 in Melbourne, and Esteban Ocon with Force India's best start in 2018. Fernando Alonso missed Monaco last year. He's back and he starts 7th alongside Carlos Sainz, his Spanish compatriot. Sergio Perez, 9th here, his worst start since 2014 in the Monaco streets. Pierre Gasly starts 10th. Behind them, Nico Hülkenberg for Renault and Stoffel van Dorn for McLaren. Charles Leclerc will have plenty of support. The Monegasque driver starts 14th, just behind Sergei Sorokin in the Williams, Marcus Ericsson and Brendan Hartley keeping each other company. And behind these come Lance Stroll and Romain Grosjean, who picked up a 3-place grid penalty for crashing in Spain. Kevin Magnussen struggled all weekend long. Max Verstappen had the chance for pole, but it's 20th and last for the Dutchman. One of the stories of this race. What can Verstappen do from the back of the grid? What can Ricciardo do from the front of the grid? Red Bull have varying fortunes already.
Okay, so in terms of wind, we're seeing headwind turns 3, 4, and tailwind from 12 all the way to 18. It's not too strong though. There's a bit of shielding from the buildings.
12 all the way down to 18 is to back down towards Raskas. Which way is the wind going to favour who?
Yeah, it does affect these cars quite dramatically, but they are sheltered with the barriers, the debris fencing and the buildings. The track temperature 33 degrees Celsius. Yesterday was 49 going into qualifying. Somewhat different to what the teams were expecting. We know the top 10 are nailed on to using the tyres that they used in qualifying, the final part of qualifying yesterday, on the used Hypersofts, but then we've now got the choices of the rest of them. Hülkenberg, Ultrasoft, new. Van Dorn, Ultrasoft, new. Sorokin, Hypersoft. Leclerc, Ultrasoft. And then Hartley has the Hypersoft on. The rest of them have all got brand new Ultrasofts on. Nobody fancies that Supersoft tyre.
What it means, though, with the ultra-soft tyre, those outside, and the majority outside the top 10, are thinking of going long with their first stint. That might not be good news for those in the top 10 who can't go quite so long. They're looking for a gap to pit and feed back into.
I think you're absolutely right. Those in the second half of the field, it depends on the pace of the front. If we get a safety car, so they all get bunched up again. The front runners need some space to make a pit stop. It takes 19 to 20 seconds to stop and change tyres. They need to find a gap to get into to make it a good stop. Otherwise, if we know, however fast they are, if they get out behind traffic, they're going nowhere.
Right, there is already a problem for Sergei Sorokin, whose stewards have picked up the fact that his wheels weren't fitted at the 3-minute signal. So 3 minutes before the start of the formation lap, his wheels and his tyres should be on the car, and they weren't.
That's a slam dunk penalty. because they want the mechanics to be away from the action. We have a long time ago seen mechanics get injured on the grid, mechanics running back out to restart a car, so they have to have the cars ready to go, and clearly that is, it's a bit like pit lane speed limit sort of notifications. You just know what's coming next.
Ted Kravitz, you were down there, you saw it happen.
Yeah, we watched it develop. There were mechanics sprinting everywhere trying to get the wheel on, and the wheel nut was cross-threaded, Crofty, and because the wheel is captured in the wheel rim, you need a special bit of equipment which was in the pits. They had to run to the pits to get it, and that's why they busted through that 3-minute time frame.
And it is not easy. Even Adrian Newey is jogging there back to the pit wall. It's not easy to move around in Monaco. It's a street circuit, Martin. I'm amazed you got back to the commentary box after what must have been the most chaotic grid walk you've had in many years.
Couldn't move on the grid. It was like sort of wading through treacle, to be honest, through golden syrup and trying to get down the grid and get off it to the com box. Yeah, and the driver somehow just about made it to the national anthem, I assume. It was the craziest grid I've ever been on in 35 years.
So Daniel Ricciardo has led every single practice session, led every single one of the qualifying sessions. Starts on pole, he's got 3 of 5 fastest laps this season as well. Could take the win, could lead every lap. He deserves it the way he's driving, but it's never a straightforward afternoon here, is it?
All that matters to him now is to lead into the first corner so that he can control the race. That's the one lead he will want to hear about afterwards, because then he's in charge. And it's a short run down in the first corner, so to gain, he's 4 meters ahead of second place man Vettel on the grid. It's a staggered grid. We call them rows, but you can see now how staggered it is.
The last time the pole sitter didn't lead lap 1 in Monaco was 2002, when Juan Pablo Montoya was passed by David Coulthard, and Daniel Ricciardo, the only driver to finish lap 1 in exactly the same position he started at every race in 2018. If that run continues this afternoon, he will be smiling, certainly.
Max might want to look to the inside, even the pit lane exit, to if there's carnage down into Sanderbox.
It's a tense moment as the lights go on. Ricciardo on pole, Vettel alongside him, Hamilton and Raikkonen just behind. It's lights out, and away we go. 227 metres down to turn 1. Ricciardo and Vettel getting very close together. Ricciardo leads from Vettel, from Hamilton, from Raikkonen, Bottas, and Ocon just staying ahead of Fernando Alonso. Through Bon Rivage we go, and rising up towards Casino Square. Kimi Raikkonen right behind Lewis Hamilton. Ricciardo pulling away from Sebastian Vettel. We're on board with Max Verstappen, who's already got past Grosjean and Magnussen right at the start.
Perfect start from Ricciardo, moved over just to check the Ferrari up a little bit, and then took his position nicely in the braking zone. Very well behaved through Sanderbox, I must say, and they were side by side, a lot of them up the hill, and that is not really an overtaking play. Van Dorn's trying to go around the outside, gets pushed back again, but thankfully with no damage to anybody.
Charles Leclerc down at the loose hairpin, fancied having a go, thought better of it as they all concertinaed up. Into the Nouvelle chicane they go now. Ricciardo leading Sebastian Vettel.
So what will Ricciardo do? He's on full tanks of fuel, 100...
So Brendan Hartley down in 15th place at the moment. Lance Stroll, I think, was getting very close to him, lost his front wing.
You've got around 100 kilograms of fuel on board the car, so the car's weighing a bit over 800 sitting on the grid. If they push like crazy, the front left tyre's been graining up. It's a clockwise circuit. You lean on that front left tyre more than anything else. And when you're in all of these slow corners, the traction zones as well really hurt the rear tyres. Will Ricciardo just go like crazy and try and pull the gap? And that's how it looks at the moment. Or will he just babysit the tyres for the first dozen laps?
I'm just watching the pit lane. Brendan Hartley not coming in. He might have damage. I don't think he's lost his front wing at all. I certainly didn't see their front wing missing as they came past our commentary box on the way down to Rascasse. Hartley still carrying on then. Nobody pitting at the end of this first lap. And it's a lap where Ricciardo was 1.1 second clear of Sebastian Vettel.
Total concentration needed. It's a frenzy inside the cockpit. Everything just keeps coming at you. The barriers, the bumps, the cambers, the manhole covers, the normal street furniture, a bit of a pavement here and there. But you can so easily make a tiny mistake. All goes horribly quiet and you're out of the race.
So Sebastian Vettel coming across here, getting very close to Daniel Ricciardo right at the start as Ricciardo moved to cut him off. And it was a good job Ricciardo was alert there. Vettel with a very good start. They all concertina behind, but into Sanderbox, as you said, Martin, behaving themselves.
Cars are 2 meters wide each. There's not an awful lot of space on the apex there.
You almost put me off.
So Grosjean not overly happy. Kevin Magnussen, his teammate, was down there, but who was Grosjean saying almost put me off? He's running plumb last at the moment, already 15 seconds behind Daniel Ricciardo. Through Casino Square we go then with our race leader, followed by Sebastian Vettel. Then comes Lewis Hamilton with the top three, trying to just pull a little bit clear of the rest. Here's on board with Raikkonen. And that frenzy you were talking about, Martin, when does it calm down? At any stage in these 78 laps?
No, it's so easy to just momentarily, and even the greatest, the multiple winners like Ayrton Senna, who's won this race, who won this race 6 times, can still make mistakes. Everybody can make mistakes around here, especially when the tyres get a little bit second-hand, and we're expecting these hypersofts that, of course, they've used in qualifying already to last around 15 laps. Can they eke any more out of that? Will Ferrari and Mercedes go early on a stop with one of their cars and just put Red Bull under pressure?
That was what Christian Horner was worried about. You spoke to him on the grid. It's Ricciardo on his own, whilst the others can split their strategies and try and do something to alter the course of this race. It should be a one-stop strategy. It might not turn out that way, and the overcut worked so well last year, where Sebastian Vettel stayed out longer than Kimi Raikkonen, and another 5 laps longer, managed to overtake him in the pits. It's not that you can't overtake on this track, but it's tricky.
Okay, copy.
So in other words, as far as Lewis is concerned, they are, whilst they're gapping. I mean, you've got to think of field spread. So the whole field was already 20 seconds apart when they're on the 4th lap of the race. So obviously Lewis, the feedback there is really important. He thinks that Ricciardo is babysitting his tyres up front.
Now, he's babysitting his tyres, but is it also a good idea for Ricciardo not to spread this field out too much? Because if the undercuts, where a driver pits before the driver in front and then uses fresh tyres to go faster and get ahead of the pit stops, if that is effective, you don't want to be giving others the opportunity. And the more you keep this field close together, the less chance of a gap that they can feed into to pull that off occurs.
A very good question. Some of these teams have 40 very clever people and a lot of computers trying to work that out, and they still don't get it right. So we're going to have to watch and see what they decide. But I do sense that Ricciardo's backed off a little bit because it was so easy for him out front, wasn't it? And
but this is the latest episode of What Would You Do, Martin? The brand new game show.
But you're right, if he keeps the pack tight, then it hurts. It stops Ferrari and Mercedes trying to, surprise the team and surprise him and come in the pits early, because they're just going to hit traffic. It's not going to work for them. Or does he just clear off out front and hope to build himself such a lead? But then, of course, he's got the safety car issue. Those that are running longer, those that are on the ultra softs, and we've got 8 of those out there, will run much longer than the leaders.
If you haven't been with us throughout the weekend here in Monaco, you'll missed all the preliminaries, and Red Bull have had very good pace on the Hypersoft tyre and able to run longer than their competitors as well. Let's have a little look at Max Verstappen's progress. Marcus Ericsson rather left the door open there, and Verstappen did not need a second invitation.
That's a good move. That's a very, very good move. The braking distance so short in there. And very clean too, keeping completely away from his rival was Max. He said to me on the grid, didn't he? I just got to get to the end of this race. Yeah. That's his priority.
So, wheels not fitted at the 3-minute signal. Sergei Sorokin under investigation, and if he is found to have contravened the regulations, or his team, chances are he's got a 5-second penalty when he comes in for his pit stop before they're allowed to change his tyres. We'll see what happens.
Okay, just losing a lot of time behind the cars in front. Copy. Really slow pace. I think I could go like a second faster easily.
And there's nothing they can do about it, these guys stuck behind, other than try and pick off an overtake, try and find a move, which is what Verstappen's trying to do behind Lance Stroll.
I tell you what, it does work for Max Verstappen in what is the fastest car on the racetrack. Starting, of course, last on the grid after his crash in free practice 3 yesterday. If it's a really slow pace, I think he can pick these off quite easily.
Well, let's have a little look here, because we're now getting to a point where he can go for a move through the tunnel, ever curving round to the right-hand side. Is he close enough to Lance Stroll out in front to launch one down the inside? No, he's not on this particular occasion. But the minute that Lance Stroll makes a mistake, if he does, Verstappen is all over him. A 10-second stop-go penalty for Sergei Sorokin. That is a massive penalty for the Russian there. It means he's got to come in, stay stationary for 10 seconds and then leave the pits. Martin, they can't even work on his car. He's going to have to make a second pit stop here.
That's a half-a-minute penalty, basically, a 30-second penalty. He's got to trundle through on the pit limiter, and as you rightly say, he cannot work on the car. They can't turn it into, they can't minimise the pain and turn it into an advantage, as it were.
I tell you what, it never rains, but it pours, and for Williams at the moment, it is pouring.
Side shoulder, right front, raining a little bit.
Tyre feedback there from Lewis Hamilton. Tyres graining a little bit. He's running about a second and a half behind Sebastian Vettel.
Right front, he said, though, didn't he, interestingly?
You'll notice it when the rear start going. You lose a little bit of mechanical grip, they call it. The tyres are getting grip from the tarmac as they heat up and get very, very sticky. Let's see if Verstappen's going to go for it again. Is he going to try and launch one? He is down the inside on Lance Stroll. Stroll saw him coming and knew that it was not worth fighting for that place there. Verstappen picks up another place. He's up to 16th.
And Verstappen on the ultra-soft tyres, of course, he will run longer than the top 10. And a lovely clear overtake again, staying well away from his rival, getting nowhere near any kind of wheel contact. We know how good the Red Bull is under braking. And with this kind of race pace up front, as I said, he can just keep picking these off one by one.
Sergei Sorokin comes into the pits to serve his 10-second stop-go penalty. Watching on from the Renault pit wall, and can probably get a very good view of this, Cyril Abiteboul, their team principal, is with us throughout this race. Cyril, good afternoon. We've already heard Nico Hülkenberg complaining about the pace. It's a slow race so far. Is that good or bad news for you?
Well, it's never great, because we know how those tyres have narrow operating windows, so you don't really want to have temperature dropping. You really want to be in your pace, but we know it's part of the game here in Monaco. It's pretty much actually for Carlos. Although he's sort of holding him back, he's taking a bit of gap now. Yeah, we have to see how things are unfolding.
Is there any worry about temperature in those tyres at the moment, or are your drivers actually managing things as Max Verstappen gets past Brendan Hartley and moves up into 14th? Sorry, Cyril, tyre temperature, are you worried?
No, not so far, not really. I think we've got two different strategies, two clear strategies. We have no particular to overstretch the tyres, so it's we need to manage, we need to monitor, but no particular concern.
The worrying thing for you, having started inside the top 10 and forced onto the Hypersoft, are all the runners behind you on the Ultrasoft. They're going to go much longer than you, aren't they? And the pace up front is holding you up. So you're really between rock and a hard place from what I can see, Cyril.
Yeah, absolutely. We could see that coming, so we need to build the gap with Carlos in particular. For Nico, it's slightly different. Yeah, hopefully Fórmula is going to have to do that also, which is now what he's doing, what we're monitoring, and we should be able to build the gap that we need. We think we can go long enough in order to have that gap. But let's see.
And Carlos and Fernando, we love it when these two get together on the track, because something exciting always happens. It gets a bit personal, doesn't it?
I don't know if it's personal, but it's two Spaniards, and they are both great racers. But let's see. So far they behave. Great driver, very experienced. So I'm pretty sure they will behave.
Thank you, Cyril. Back with you in a little while. Max Verstappen, we can see from the rear wing from Charles Leclerc's car, his Sauber there. Verstappen, as you say, Martin, picking people off here, and he's having a dream start to this race.
He is, but he's also playing the percentage game. I've known a Max that would have gone sailing down the inside there and tried for that one as well. He's not getting greedy. He knows there's a long way to go. We're only on lap 9 of 78, as you can see to yourselves at the top left of the screen. So he knows that he needs to stay in place, stay with all four wheels on the car, and let those ultra-softs do their work when the leaders have to pit. Ricardo then just popping into the 1:16. There's no doubt about it. the pace at the front has not increased. Remember, he qualified on a 1:10.8. He's got fuel on board. We've got a slow Williams and got fuel on board, but he's 6 seconds a lap slower.
Lance Stroll's got a puncture.
The problem with the car, something happened. I have a problem with the front end, something in the front broke. I don't think I can get back.
And as you can see, the leaders all coming up to Lance Stroll now before he can dive into the pits. Does so just as Daniel Ricciardo gets to him. Now, has Lance Stroll touched the wall somewhere? We often see it. Ted down in the pits, he's coming your way.
He is, he's right in front of me. So Williams, their best hope for this race was Sergei Sorokin. Stroll's should struggle with the car all weekend long. That's already gone up in a penalty. So it's a front wing change, as you can see, and the tyres. I wonder if they're going to go to the red. Yes, they are. They're going to the super soft tyres to what might be the end of the race.
Pirelli say those tyres, Martin, can do 70 laps of this race. So they can go to the end. They should pick up a bit of track position and make up some places, but this is a horrendous start.
Williams last and last but one at the moment.
Cleaning the track in Lewis Hamilton. There's a lot of debris and it's cutting the tyres.
Okay, understood. We pass the message.
Interesting comment, isn't it? He's cutting the tyre. How does he know that? Maybe he can see marks on the surface of his own tyres, and maybe that's what Stroll's problem was.
So down at the Lowe's hairpin now. There's that debris that Kevin Magnussen was talking about. I think it's gone away with the cars going round and round here. Hardly having contact on the first lap. Lance Stroll thinks we're into a wall somewhere.
Verstappen very close this time around.
As it's Stoffel Van Dorn, and Stoffel Van Dorn getting past a slower moving Williams that is being lapped to Sergei Sorokin, and then the Lance Stroll, I should say, and then Leclerc, and then Verstappen getting past as well.
Tell you what we did see in Spain, Leclerc kept his head very well with Fernando Alonso hunting him down. He's not easily phased, this young Monegasque driver.
Only 20 years of age, Charles Leclerc racing the 6th Grand Prix. The man who was on pole for the F2 race here in Monaco last year. Sadly, didn't score points at a double retirement that weekend. But trying to hold off Max Verstappen at the moment. Two very exciting young stars of Formula 1.
Tell you what's getting interesting now. Ricciardo is 25 seconds ahead of 7th place man Alonso. There's a pit stop in there, and the same goes to Vettel, Hamilton and Raikkonen too.
Because we say he's offline.
No, it's blowing onto the line. There's wind.
Okay, we pass again the message.
So we're getting to the point now. They just need Ocon's 19.5 seconds off the lead. Another 2 or 3 laps, and I think we're going to be in the position where Ferrari, Mercedes and Hamilton pits. They've seen it. That's what they wanted to do.
So they reckon they've got a gap. Lewis Hamilton pits, ultra soft tyres going on, and out into the racetrack comes Lewis Hamilton. Now it's whether he can get out ahead of Esteban Ocon. So we're looking now to see Ocon coming round Anthony Nogues, the final corner. You might just see him on your screen. Here comes Esteban Ocon now. Hamilton will feed back into the race behind the Force India, but ahead of Fernando Alonso in the McLaren. So Hamilton pits from 3rd in this race, comes out in 6th.
Ocon on the same tyres, he qualified inside the top 10, of course. So they are prepared to risk Hamilton losing time against Ocon when Ocon might come in. And that's pulled the trigger. What will Red Bull do now?
And I don't know what's going on at Williams, but Sergei Sorokin is under investigation once again for the team working on his car while serving a 10-second stop-go penalty. They're not allowed to touch his car, but it seems that they have. Let's go down to Sky Race Control. Anthony Davidson, Paul di Resta have been looking at the Lewis hairpin. Where's that debris, guys?
We had a look. There's a little bit on the outside, but there's one little bit of marbles on the inside. I can't really see what Magnussen's doing. We've tried to rewind in all the onboards, and it's an interesting message. Is it Cody trying to do something with strategy? Nothing we can see that's causing any issues for the cars anyway.
Thanks ever so much, boys. Back with you in a moment. Daniel Ricciardo has just upped his pace, Martin Brundle.
He's had to, because we're Mercedes, let's just see, is this what happened to...
Now this is contact between Lance, that's where Lance Stroll had his problem.
Very good, his left front puncher then, isn't it? And then had his teammate all over the back of him for good measure. The ride height drops, of course, when you lose tyre pressure, and that's why the car's sparking along the ground. So that was the cue then for Ricciardo to get on with it and use some speed.
Stay out.
Yeah, I can keep it.
Okay, keep pushing.
Brendan Hartley has pitted for Toro Rosso from down in 16th, 15th place. He's now down into 17th whilst we ride on board with Sebastian Vettel. Ricciardo up in the pace, Vettel trying to follow him on. Hamilton the first of the top three to pit.
And Hamilton needs to pass Ocon very quickly indeed if that's going to work for them at all. Okay, now we're going racing.
So whilst we ride on board with Sebastian Vettel, Hamilton having a little move on Esteban Ocon into the Nouvelle chicane, and I think he's got past him. By the looks of the track map that we can see in our commentary box, Lewis Hamilton has passed Esteban Ocon. He's moved up into 5th place.
Now he can show his pace on these tyres. As you said, he can go to the end. Ricciardo's going to have to keep pumping in the 1:15s.
There he is, Hamilton clear of Esteban Ocon.
Yeah, absolutely right, Crofty, well spotted. And now it's about the pace he can do to start putting pressure on Ricciardo, on Vettel. When will Red Bull and Ferrari respond? Lovely clear track ahead of him. They spotted it first, they took the risk.
Kimi, we can undercut Hamilton.
Yeah, the left front is so friendly.
From data tires are good, keep on pushing. Good job, Kimi.
Yeah, I'm sliding a bit.
So Charles Leclerc is now coming into the pits for Sauber. It's not the undercut on Hamilton. They think they could do the overcut, Ferrari on Hamilton, but has Raikkonen got the pace to do it, Martin?
We're about to find out. Late 16s, I doubt enough. And wow, that was an easy pass, wasn't it?
Young Mercedes driver, Esteban Ocon, slightly older Mercedes driver driving for the Works team, Lewis Hamilton.
That wasn't a pass, was it? That was a wave through.
Did you see Toto Wolff and Otmar Safnauer, the COO of Force India, having a chat on the grid before? I'm sure that wasn't a pre-arranged move, and I'm sure they weren't chatting about that. But,
that's why they were so confident they could bring him in then and get him straight past the Force India. So definitely teams working together there.
Understood, Carlos. They're aware of it.
Turn 6 and down towards the Lowe's hairpin. On the exit of Mirabeau, there was a bit of debris there, and one of the marshals has been onto the track to pick that up. Ted, down to you.
Tell you what, it's pretty close between Raikkonen and Hamilton, isn't it, Crofty? There's only about a second in it. But Hamilton, sometimes some laps he's safe, sometimes he isn't, to Kimi. But just quickly, I saw Sorokin stop for that stop-and-go penalty. They did cool the car with fans, but nothing actually touched the car. And I think now they've dropped the investigation, or they've cleared them.
No further investigation.
Okay.
So Hamilton's won 16.2 on these new tyres. He's still not as fast as Ricciardo out front. So Red Bull have got it covered with raw pace at the moment. He pulled a 3.6-second lead over Sebastian Vettel, make that over 4 seconds now.
And further down into the midfield, Brendan Hartley currently running in 16th place, speeding in the pit lane. Sebastian Vettel at 60 kilometres an hour stops on his pit box now. Change of tyres, front wing adjustment, ultra soft tyres going on for Vettel. Where does he come back out into this race? Hamilton has just got to Rascasse, leading the race. Daniel Ricciardo from Kimi Raikkonen. Sebastian Vettel will get to the end of the pit lane now. Who does he come out ahead of or behind? He's onto the racetrack and he's third, ahead of Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton. So Ferrari getting that pit stop done in the nick of time and trying to force his way in to pass Stoffel Van Dorn at the back is Max Verstappen. Van Dorn keeping very alert there to block off the Dutchman.
So will Red Bull react to that pit stop of Ferrari? The ultra-softs don't appear to be so fast at the moment. Hamilton back in the late 1:16s now. If Ricciardo can stay 15s and 16s, he might as well stay on these tyres for a while and see if there's a safety car.
Well, this is it. You're always a couple of millimetres away from a safety car around here. So far, we haven't had one, but we've had a safety car every year this decade in Monaco.
You can see the front left tyre on the McLaren of Van Dorn.
Ricciardo's in to the pits.
It's looking very ugly indeed with the graining. And there's the race leader then. They decided to react to be safe.
So Kimi Raikkonen coming into the pits as well as out onto the racetrack comes Daniel Ricciardo. Raikkonen has covered him in the Ferrari. Back out once more. Daniel Ricciardo onto the racetrack. Nice stop from him and from the Ferrari team as well.
Yeah, Ricciardo will be so relieved that that pit stop went okay. Remember the pit stop that cost him victory here in 2016.
And there, way back in the distance, Sebastian Vettel's Valtteri Bottas pits for Mercedes. Carlos Sainz has been in too. Yeah, no problems this time around for Daniel Ricciardo, who started on pole before and saw his win taken away with a pit stop blunder. Will he still be smiling at the end of 78 laps? He's got another 61 to go this afternoon. Shouldn't need to come into the pits once again. Ricciardo leads Vettel, leads Hamilton, leads Raikkonen leads Ocon, Alonso, and Bottas coming out in 7th place.
On the super soft tyres, according to this computer, Crofty. That's a different one, isn't it? The ones we know, they're much more durable, but they really struggle to get up to temperature. Paul, what news have you got for us?
Yeah, looking at Team Radio.
Onshore.
Yeah, just to follow up on the Hypersofts, obviously graining, but Verstappen, we've had a close look at Verstappen's tyres, front and rear, on the Ultrasoft graining. I'm not quite so sure it's an easy one-stop this race. It looks like Mercedes taking action and putting Bottas on the Supersoft, which could be a car that goes one-stop. The others, we just have to wait and see how it goes.
So covering themselves, Martin Brundle.
Yeah, they've got their split strategy, haven't they, at Mercedes?
On board with Sebastian Vettel.
Very slow through Santa Bar, I must say.
Yeah, he said these tyres are having warm-up issues.
Yeah, very cautious indeed.
You don't want to be having tyres that are too cold when you jam on the brakes down into Santa Bar. So it's what, about 160 miles an hour, 170 miles an hour?
And Ricciardo's struggling to warm them up as well. 20.8 first sector. He's just lost 4 tenths of his lead to Vettel. So what's the message? One shot. You've got one shot to warm them up properly. So maybe they just need blending in a little bit because they look so cautious. When we went on board there, my first instinct was, has Vettel got a problem? It was so steady through Sanderbar. And you can see how he's catching Ricciardo in the distance there.
So this lap, Vettel picked up 4 tenths on Daniel Ricciardo. Started off about 3.3 seconds behind him. The gap down under 3 seconds now. Hamilton, his tyres are a bit more up to temperature. Now he's got the gap down under 6 seconds. Kimi Raikkonen, after stopping as well, lapping a little bit quicker than Lewis Hamilton. We haven't seen Ocon or Alonso stop yet. They're taking the opportunity to go as long as they possibly can on this first stint.
So they come out of the blankets at somewhere between 90 and 100 degrees centigrade. By the time they're put on the car, you trundle out of the pit lane, and the slow first corner, you lose a lot of temperature and therefore pressure in the tyres.
Right, these two haven't stopped yet. Van Dorn and Verstappen. Van Dorn's teammate Fernando Alonso has come into the pits. Super soft tyres going on for Fernando Alonso as well. Ted, down to you.
Yeah, just watching the McLaren stop. Nice stop by the boys in black and orange, and that's a relief for Mercedes because Bottas was bottled up behind Fernando Alonso and Ocon.
So people struggled a lot more than you did. In that first stint, they had a lot of drop-off.
Right, so now Fernando Alonso ahead of Stoffel Van Dorn, ahead of Max Verstappen, and Van Dorn will be hoping that those tyres do warm up nicely on Alonso's car and he can get out of the way of this one, and he is doing.
I wonder if they were going to run Ricciardo long. I mean, he did a purple sector, the fastest man in the entire race so far, on his in-lap. Like, he's got loads of grip left in those tyres. I wonder if they were going to run him longer. Yeah, because Stoffel there, as he's known, managed to defend Fernando Alonso's teammate against a rampant Verstappen, who had a chance to take the pair of them then.
So you've got a Belgian racing in orange, and behind him, a man born in Belgium is now a Dutchman. Stoffel Van Dorn and Max Verstappen. And this is where we see whether Van Dorn's got some great defensive skills, and we see what Verstappen can do to try and find a way past. McLaren saying to Van Dorn, come on, you need to start getting your elbows out a little bit at the start of races, be a bit more aggressive, as he now actually pits Verstappen, the man who probably is a bit too aggressive on occasion as well. So Verstappen is now released and can carry on his way, and they think they've got a decent gap to feed Stoffel Van Dorn back into down at McLaren.
I'll tell you who looks good is Bottas on the super soft, so 1:16.5. only 2.3 seconds faster than Ricciardo up front. We're really enjoying those tyres. We've barely seen them up. Nobody bought any super softs hardly, did they? Some of them had one set for the weekend, and I must say Bottas is the man on the move at the moment on those tyres.
Well, I think they put him on the super soft parts because he had a brand new set to put on, whereas he didn't have a new set of the Ultras. It is worth mentioning, you know, Hypersoft tyre has dominated the chat here. It's the first time we've seen this tyre ever. But this is the first time this weekend that the Red Bull has had anything on it other than the Hypersoft tyre, because they brought 11 sets for the pink stripe, but only one each of the others.
And that's why I think we had the rather nervous-sounding radio call from Daniel Ricciardo about the warm-up on these tyres. But I do think we're now back into...
I'm afraid the 3-second gap.
I don't understand. We're not, like, it's ridiculous. I've blue flags, so let people go. And you want me to give caps. What's the point of even racing right now?
He's having problems. He doesn't quite understand what's going on. What about Force India? Problems in their pit stop. Ted Kravitz.
Yeah, Sergio Perez came in. His lap times were falling off, and it was a good time to pit. But then they had a problem in the pit stop that cost them around 2 or 3 seconds. So that's really hurt him. Ocon's also falling off the pace on his tyres now. Expect him in a lap or so.
Thanks, Ted. He hasn't pitted yet. Neither is Gasly or Hulkenberg or Max Verstappen. Now in front, Martin, that gap. 2.2 seconds now between Ricciardo and Vettel. Valtteri Bottas only 22 seconds behind the race leader Daniel Ricciardo on a set of tyres that's still looking rather nice for him.
I can only assume Ricciardo's gone into preservation mode, knowing full well that the Ferrari can't really overtake him anywhere. The drag reduction system, the DRS, one and only down the pit straight, is not that effective. And this looks a little bit like after the initial laps when they went into tyre saving phase, isn't it? They're just babysitting their tyres. There's an awful long way to go yet. I remember in this race, you were, as I said, it's just a frenzy of driving it, and you were feeling pretty exhausted. I mean, remember, it's 50 Celsius in the cockpits of these cars. They're in 4 layers of fireproof clothing, lots of G-force, lots of energy going on. And you think, oh, must be getting close to the end of the race now. Then they show you a board where you've only done 50 laps, another 28 laps to go, and these guys are supremely fit. But it is it's a very, very long race. Not quite as long as Singapore can be, but and the pace is hot this year.
In Singapore, you've got the heat and the humidity, and you've got no breeze whatsoever. But breezing past Esteban Ocon, Valtteri Bottas is now up into 5th place.
Looks like the car that's pushing at the moment, Raikkonen. He was about a second quicker than you, but he is 10 seconds behind you.
Is he on Lewis's tail?
He is catching.
He's 1.5 seconds behind. Brendan Hartley's got a 5-second time penalty. Paul di Resta at Sky Race Control wanted you to have a look at Esteban Ocon and Valtteri Bottas. The Force India drivers, well, shall we just say he's not made it hard for people to overtake him this afternoon?
He did not make it difficult, Crofty. He just pulled over in the pit straight and let Bottas go up the inside. Of course, he's in a different race, but it looked very easy, as did Hamilton when he got by him there at the chicane. So, observation.
And of course, Force India using a Mercedes engine, and there you have it. So we've got confirmation they're coasting a little bit in this phase. What does it mean in terms of Bottas coming to? He's still the only man. What they're going to do is close the gap up, isn't it? So that they're all going to be roughly line astern behind Ricciardo through to Bottas, the top 5. Verstappen's still pumping in personal best and hasn't picked it, of course, from 10th place.
And this is Kimi Raikkonen. And a question that Ricciardo was asking, is he on Lewis Hamilton's tail? I think the answer is yes.
It is yes, but the question fascinated me. That was in Daniel's mind, working out who was 3rd and 4th and how close they are, and why he really cared, because they're 10 seconds behind him. But
is it the sort of thing you only really care about if you know that you're backing
you're doing a really
people
good
up
job.
into each other?
Just main focus, looking after these tyres.
He's obviously looking on the big screen somewhere when he's got a moment to spare, and turning wheel, pressing the pedals and adjusting the dials on his steering wheel. But yeah, it never ceases to amaze me how much mental capacity the drivers have got now to control these cars. I mean, the last time I saw him, there was kind of 47 different controls in the cockpit. sub-menus on some of those. It's absolutely extraordinary, the mental workload, and then they're working out who's racing around the rest of the track.
You don't have the luxury of watching yourself on television when you were racing. Do they have the big screens at the side of the track as well?
Street circuits, you could see that sort of thing, yeah.
And did you take the opportunity to look up and see what else was happening?
You do, because often you can see if there's a crash, you can see if people are putting umbrellas up, you can see when you're just observing if everybody's face is looking the other way. You then know that there's a problem around the next blind corner. It's surprising how much information you can gather just by observing what's going on around you. And the big screens, of course, are the best. Yeah, you can see it, look. See that sort of dull patch on the left tyre, about a third of the way in from the inside? And that's just where the rubber's ripped, basically, like a pencil eraser, when the rubber just keeps flaking off it. That is effectively graining. And that was a fairly... you know what? I'm not even trying hard in this. Front left tyre is great.
So you've got these tyres, nice and smooth and shiny when they go onto the car, and there's a lovely contact patch between the asphalt and the tyre itself. It's like the outside of a ball of mozzarella cheese, as it were. And if you cut that cheese in half, you'll notice it's all bobbling inside.
There's something wrong with the downshifts. In second gear from 32nd, getting a lot of rear locking.
Stand by.
I almost ran off the track.
Stand by.
What Max Verstappen wants to be hearing, and that bobbling is what happens to a tyre when it starts graining. You don't get as much contact patch between the asphalt and the tyre itself, so you don't get as much grip. And that's as good as I think I can explain at round about afternoon tea time, the problem with graining and the links to mozzarella cheese. I'm hungry now, I'll stop talking.
Verstappen's talking about there as he pulls the downshift and locks the rear axle. It's a bit like if you let the clutch out too quickly and you put it in the, you dropped it into first gear when you shouldn't have done. Or actually, another analogy would be pulling the handbrake on, where the rear axle locks up and the car refuses to slow down properly.
Down towards the Lewis hairpin, Lewis Hamilton once again.
No action required, Max. No action required. We do not think it will happen again.
The left front is really poor.
Understood.
Just want him to keep going as long as he can. The safety car, I think, is what they're hoping for with Verstappen, who is up into 10th place, but he hasn't pitted yet. Ted, down to you.
A few things from down here. Our Kiwi in the race, Brendan Hartley, does have the front right cascade, those extra little bit of winglets on the right-hand side of the front wing missing. So he is going along, missing some downforce, as well as that unfortunate speeding in the pit lane penalty that he's got. Gasly, his teammate, hasn't pitted yet, and she's showing good pace against Hulkenberg in P7. But Hulkenberg's in a difficult position. It's quite slow in the pits in the times, isn't he, in that Renault? But if he pits now, he's going to come out, well, around the sort of Salford area, behind a lot of traffic.
There's Pierre Gasly, currently running in 6th place, but he hasn't stopped. Neither has Hulkenberg behind him, and Verstappen, the only other driver that hasn't stopped yet.
Ted said Gasly's lap times are very good, and the longer they can stay out, his tyres looking at the second end as well, it must be said. The longer they can stay out, the more chance they've got. I mean, there's an 80% historical chance of a safety car around this track.
Losing power was what Daniel Ricciardo just said. A lock-up from Sebastian Vettel behind him. Cyril Abiteboul, the Renault team principal, on the pit wall for us. I wanted to talk about Nico Hulkenberg. We'll do that in a moment, but losing power, Cyril, that's not what you want to hear either, I'm sure. Let's hear Ricciardo.
Fail one, fail. So we think
Yeah,
we're looking into it, mate.
Let's try to keep an eye on what's going on with the other cars, but you are learning that to me, it's not what we want to hear.
No, certainly not. Renault engine, of course, in the back of that Red Bull. I wanted to ask you the question, Nico Hulkenberg, how long can he keep going here? Are you hoping for a safety car at some stage to help his race?
Yeah, exactly. We tried something. I think it's not really working our way so far, despite what the statistics are saying. So we are looking at the situation carefully, gaps and lap times, and Carlos' race is looking a bit better, so we have to make a big decision, Nico.
Cyril, thank you. We'll be back in a moment. Martin.
Yeah, he's way down on straight line speed is Daniel Ricciardo. Maybe he's going to show up through the tunnel where they get to their higher speed. Is the Ferrari. He's harvesting electrical power as he goes into the tunnel. That's the red flashing light. Will the Ferrari get ever closer to?
Yeah, you struggle with this power unit. Keep pushing, keep pushing.
I just wonder here, Sebastian Vettel, if he might just be a little bit patient, sit behind the Red Bull and then use DRS along that main straight towards Saint-Devant as the best chance to get past. DRS not hugely effective here because the straight's not very long anyway. How long can Daniel Ricciardo keep Sebastian Vettel behind him if he has got power issues? And you can see that the difference in speed between the two cars. We're onto the main straight now. He's coping well enough, Ricciardo, to keep ahead at this moment, Martin, and that's got to be first critical position for Ricciardo, and then where else can Vettel attack him?
Ricciardo looks 18 kilometres down, but that must be in the braking zone.
You just need to keep it smooth, keep focused.
Right, so the team understand it. Ricciardo is going to have to put up with it. We are on lap 30 of a Monaco Grand Prix where everything was going nice and smoothly for the pole sitter until about a lap and a half ago.
Yeah, so he's across the start and actually where he's losing time. But
30 kilometres an hour slower than Sebastian Vettel across the start-finish line.
He would have whistled past him, surely. He would be equally as slow through the tunnel. So we know he's changed settings on the power mode, on the engine mode. But
just keep it focused, mate.
He doesn't look that much.
Yeah, I got no power though.
He's got a bit, but not enough. Remember, these engines, only 3 power units used by the team for the whole season. So this is the last race that the initial race engines have got to cope with before it all changes in Canada. Canada, much more power-dependent track, and that's where the engine manufacturers bring upgraded units to. So all weekend long, the likes of Christian Horner, Cyril Beetle have all been talking about reliability as well. And there's always that prospect of something going wrong at Monaco with the engine, because this is the 6th time it's been used during the course of this year.
Yeah, it's still showing him 18, 20 kilometres an hour slower down the pit straight, but it doesn't seem quite right to me. Maybe that's in the braking zone because he's braking a bit early. Otherwise,
really good
he just
job,
steamed past him.
It's really good stuff. We know it's hard, but you're doing a great job.
Will it get better?
Negative, Daniel, negative.
Oh dear. First and foremost, encouraging message. Secondly, sorry mate, you're going to have to put up with this till the checkered flag.
Right, so what he's got to max out now are the braking points, the apex speed, minimum apex speeds, and just drive the wheels of it, but because he wants to protect the tyres as well. Paul's got some news for us down at race control.
Yeah, watching the onboards again, guys. Vettel's front left tyre is not in good shape. It's grained up. Now remember, he's got right-handers every time he needs to put the attack on Ricciardo, but the car's just understeering. It's not able to rotate. Look at Hamilton's left front, it's the same. Raikkonen. Bottas's looks not too bad on the super soft, so effectively he could kind of become the challenger on Ricciardo if these guys are going to have to make a stop.
Interesting, because as long as Sebastian Vettel runs...
Valtteri behind him. Told you about this tyre.
Yeah, Valtteri's on the best tyre out there. Valtteri Bottas is the man in the best position in the top 5 at the moment.
Well, he's only a few car lengths behind Kimi Raikkonen here as we run through Casino Square. Let's go down to Ted Kravitz.
I just asked Red Bull what exactly is wrong with Ricciardo's power unit. They say they're still investigating it themselves, but where I am in the pit lane, I can watch them as they come at the back. Do you need to interrupt, Crofty? You okay? They're right past me as they go to the start-finish line. It sounds crisp. It sounds crisp and it sounds fine. It sounds fine revving. You can normally hear if it's a turbo problem.
Is not to get picked up. Is what they reported.
Okay, so that must be music to Sebastian Vettel's ears. You can normally hear, can't you, if it's a turbo problem? It sounds rough, is my experience. So maybe it's, well, power to the MG UK. Maybe the MGUH isn't charging the battery enough.
It might be a battery issue, Ted. Yeah. We know it's worth 160 horsepower, which will push a small family saloon along very nicely indeed. But we saw the car harvesting on the way into the tunnel in the acceleration zone a couple of laps ago, which is unusual.
All appear to have the same tyre issues, so it's the same tyre appearance.
But a loss of 160 would be about right with the speeds we're looking at. That he's down.
Yeah, and I'm just surprised the Ferrari is not all over him like a rash.
Does he need to get a real shift on here then, Sebastian Vettel? Because the longer he spends this distance behind Daniel Ricciardo, the more damage it's going to do to his tyres.
Absolutely. He's following a wounded animal. You'd think he'd pound straight away if he could, so he clearly can't with the front left tyre as it is. So stay tuned to this race, because it's going to get very, very interesting indeed. We've got different challenges completely amongst the top 5.
If Daniel Ricciardo is the wounded animal, Sebastian Vettel's attacking him with a relish of a vegetarian at the moment. He leads the Australian by about 1.1 second, but he's got problems with power. Sebastian Vettel has more power, struggling to find a way past. Lewis Hamilton runs in 3rd place from Kimi Raikkonen and Valtteri Bottas, who seems to be the right man on the right tyre, but he's down in 5th place at the moment. Hulkenberg still hasn't pitted. He's behind Gasly, who also still hasn't pitted, and Max Verstappen, that man there, currently running in 10th place. He hasn't pitted either. Nico Rosberg, you have won in Monaco before. You've had great days. You know how tough this race is. Even if you don't get the problems Daniel Ricciardo's suffering from, you've got to feel for him in that cockpit at the moment.
Yeah, I feel for him a lot. He doesn't...
Understood, Ericsson, cut the chicane. Understood.
Carry on, Nico.
He does not deserve that out there. You know, he was feeling so great out there and was going towards the race win, and now he has these massive engine problems, it seems, and that's so difficult for him mentally now. He has to digest that. He's got the pressure on Vettel, and he's worried also, is it going to deteriorate further? Am I going to lose my win here, my sure thing win? And so, no, it's really not easy, but we've got an exciting race on our hands now, up front now. The problem is Vettel's tyre, his front tyre is shot as well. His left front is grained massively, so that's why he's really struggling to stay close to Daniel.
And while they're managing out front, we've got a curious situation. Gasly in 6th, Hulkenberg 7th, Ocon 8th, Alonso 9th. They're faster than the top 5. The midfield is running consistently faster than the front runners at the moment.
Gasly and Hulkenberg are going to be out of that little equation when they pit, assuming we don't get a safety car or a virtual safety car.
Let me know if there's anything I can do different to help. Gear shifts or something.
Display for position 7. Display for position 7 when you can. And then back to display 9. We recommend just shifting on the lights. Shift on the lights.
So, is that a normal gear change?
Yeah, in other words, don't short shift, don't try and find extra power with high revs. Shift on the normal point. It's a cascade, a Christmas tree across your steering wheel. And again, we see him harvesting going into the tunnel under hard acceleration. Normally, maybe that's what they always do, but it's not often you see the red light flashing going into the tunnel, is it? So I think all he's got is the raw pace of the chassis, like minimum apex speed, attack the braking zone. He's sort of doing 119s, occasionally into the 18s. It all looks very cautious indeed, very cautious from there.
But Sebastian Vettel has dropped back a little bit here as well. Look, on board, the message I've just had from Paul, Director of Race Control, is that his tyres look spotless. They do. Yeah. They look very nice indeed. We know that Sebastian Vettel is not enjoying the same luxury of the shiny outside surface of the mozzarella cheese. He's got the inside wobbly bit. Look, there's a huge difference, Martin, even from back that camera angle halfway up Beau Rivage.
I think the extra downforce of the Red Bull, as I said yesterday, these are upside down aeroplanes. The wings press the car into the ground, and the Red Bull is a lot kinder on its tyres.
Now 7 seconds. We will be dropping positions.
It's going to be bored before you know it. There's that.
Yeah, copy that, Lewis. I think you're all in the same boat at the moment.
Except your teammates, who actually has now dropped back a little bit from Kimi Raikkonen. I wonder if that was lapping Sergei Sorokin, he did on the previous lap. See, nice tyres, nice shiny, very dull grey patches. Sebastian Vettel, Ferrari. Hamilton is now under 6 seconds behind, and there's another problem for Lance Stroll. And he's run left again, and I wonder what's happened this time around, Martin. So once again, he's limping around to the pits, just as Ricciardo and Vettel come blasting past him. Sorokin and Stroll already a lap down. He's going to be even further down after this if he can get back to the pits.
Tell you what I think Bottas is doing, why he slowed down a little bit, Crofty, because if they have to two-stop in front of him and Ricciardo has got a problem or an increasing problem, Bottas in P5 has got this race in the bag.
Yeah. He doesn't have to stop again on those tyres. Hyper softs going on Lance Stroll's Williams. They get to the end of a set of hyper softs, 35 laps, so Pirelli will touch and go.
Unusual choice.
They really haven't got much else to do.
They haven't got much else to have, can't they, after punctures and contact and what have you.
Incredibly, well, lap 37 of this Monaco Grand Prix, we've not lost a single car from this race. Normally by this stage, someone has gone into the wall, but not on this particular occasion. Lance Stroll and Sergei Sorokin have both been lapped. They've had their various problems. A 10-second stop-go penalty for Sergei Sorokin, relegated him further down the field. Brendan Hartley, the speeding in the pit lane, has got 5 seconds to add to his time come the end. Everything was looking very rosy indeed for Daniel Ricciardo, but he's got power issues, and those issues are affecting his pace. Sebastian Vettel, though, behind him, hasn't been able to overtake him very quickly and is now suffering on his tyres, and it could well be that Vettel, Hamilton and Raikkonen might all have to stop again. Valtteri Bottas, looking great on his tyres at the moment, could put them all off by not stopping.
Ricciardo Vettel in the 1:20s now. How slow can they go?
Pierre Gasly, big lock-up going into Raskas before he pits for what will be his first pit stop, and maybe only pit stop in this race. So Gasly pits from 6th, and he's going to have everyone up to Max Verstappen, I would imagine, getting past him as he stops now, changes to the super soft tyre. So Toro Rosso, they've seen what's going on with Valtteri Bottas, and they think the super soft could be the one to go on here. Verstappen goes past, Gasly comes out into the racetrack in 10th place, still on the points, crucially for him, ahead of Carlos Sainz. He's got the inside line through Sandevot, and clear of the Renault he goes.
Yeah, the intel, of course, is they are the right tyres. Mercedes were first to do that with Bottas. Alonso's on them as well, as is Ocon, now Gasly, Leclerc, Ericsson, Perez, Magnussen, Van Dorn, Grosjean. They're all on these now favoured red-marked tyres. I think the story here is, Crofty, there isn't really a good race tyre amongst the three of them today.
Brilliant.
Nothing's really working, is it? And they're having to find all sorts of different ways to get around the problem.
Now on board with Valtteri Bottas. You can see there Raikkonen just gets the jump down the main straight. Bottas might not be close enough here to launch a move on the fin into Sandevot. He isn't. We can go to Sky Race Control. Paul.
Yeah, just one thing, thinking about it, Crofty, Red Bull have got an advantage here. They've got Verstappen, who hasn't stopped, still on that ultra-soft tyre. They can see it's obviously green. Max was much harder on at the beginning, full of fuel, behind cars, losing the downforce. But equally, when he stops, they can get the Pirelli guys to scrape it, measure it, and then predict what Ricciardo's done. And even his tyre still looking good. So I still think Red Bull are in good shape here.
Just to show you how steady they're being out front, Lance Stroll puts on a new set of Hypersoft and is 4.4 seconds faster than Daniel Ricciardo leading the race. He's last. Last man is fastest man on the racetrack by a country mile.
But to finish first you have to finish. And that's all Daniel Ricciardo is thinking about here. Finishing this race, getting home, looking after my tyres, looking after my engine, hoping I can keep Sebastian Vettel at bay as well. His nerves are going to be shredded to pieces come the checkered flag here. And I'm sure pretty much the entire continent of Australia is waiting to celebrate, and your nerves are going to be shredded to pieces as well. We're on board with this finish battle. Yeah, first you have to finish. Which Finn is going to finish ahead of the other? Raikkonen and Bottas once again. Is he going to go for it? No, he's a bit too far.
Bit of history between these two, of course, Sochi and many other places. So they might be fellow countrymen. I don't think they're the best of friends. And Bottas has got to be careful not to damage those tyres, because he is on the tyre that should get him to the end of the Grand Prix.
Kimi Raikkonen in his 202nd 75th career start, looking for his 100 points finish this afternoon. Valtteri Bottas picked up his 25th podium in Formula 1 last time out in Spain. Looking good, but down in 5th place at the moment. Ted Dowson.
So Daniel Ricciardo handling this brilliantly. It's only in the last sector, really, where the speed is significantly down. And I agree with you about Valtteri Bottas, Crofty, and how if there is a test, is that...
Okay, copy. It looks like other cars are stabilising. We will react if we need to.
Can you see the guy's tyres in front of me?
So Lewis, all 4 cars on the ultra soft look like they're at least in the same condition as you.
Graining's definitely not cleaning up. We had a blackout on the dash.
Not something else now for Sebastian Vettel, but if someone does stack it in the wall from now and there's a safety car, you'd imagine the guys in trouble with their tyres would pit, wouldn't you? Or they'll all look at what each other is doing. If one of them goes in, they'll probably all follow in which case Bottas will indeed have track position this day.
I don't believe Ricciardo's tyres do look that bad, but we know he's got some kind of engine power issue instead.
Yeah, it's not his tyres, it's his engine. It's not this man's engine, it's his tyres. Toto Wolff there. Look at intense concentration on his face. We're on lap 41. Now, the Monaco Grand-Prix, somewhere in this town tonight, there will be a massive party. But at the moment, I'm not sure which one of these ones will be hosting the biggest party of them all. The race that the drivers all want to win, where Hamilton has won twice before, where Kimi Räikkönen, of course, has won before, where Sebastian Vettel has won before, but where Daniel Ricciardo, the race leader, and Valtteri Bottas, the man in very good shape at the moment. Indeed, if the others have to stop in fifth,
and we believe Ricciardo has a power unit issue that is limiting his lap times. And at the moment, Lewis, if we switch to a 2, I think we just drop 2 positions.
Understood. The graining's definitely not getting any better. It's likely I'm going to lose these positions behind me.
So what would you do, Martin Brundle? Just back to that game again.
Yeah, it's one of those days when Lewis is wearing his heart on his sleeve on the radio and he's frustrated. That's what that's about. You can see when you go on board with him how steadily he's having to take the corners. I mean, remember, pole 1 minute 10.8, low fuel, of course, 25 new tyres, total commitment. And Ricciardo 1:19.5 on the last time around out front. So that's nearly 9 seconds of that slower because they just can't find a tyre that will live with the pace and the conditions and the new surface and all the challenges of Monaco.
One thing, if you want to look on the bright side, if you are following intently any of the top 5 here, is that I don't think back markers are necessarily going to get in their way, because you look at the likes of Harvey, Leclerc, Ericsson, Perez, they're all very close together in their own battle, 13th downwards, but lapping pretty much the same lap times as the leading quintet. So blue flags might not be a major issue, surprisingly, here in Monaco today.
Good point. I tell you what will spur Hamilton on. He'll now be able to see Ricciardo and Vettel in the pit straight, and as he's breaking down into the chicane, he's got sight of the enemies, he's faster than them, and I think he'll finally begin to understand that whilst he's struggling, others are struggling more.
Yeah, that's what he's been told, but I just don't think he believes it necessarily.
Yeah, he's going to have very much a visual situation there in terms of seeing his rivals.
Right, Max Verstappen against Pierre Gasly.
Doing a really good job, mate. Very impressive. Let's keep it smooth. We think your tyres are looking in very good shape. Your tyres are looking very good, better than Verstappen's at this stage.
As the motivation from Simon Rennie as race engineer still carries on for Daniel Ricciardo. Is Gasly really racing Max Verstappen, or is Verstappen really racing Gasly? And how much does Verstappen want to get aggressive in defending as the Frenchman on much fresher tyres closes up on him?
I don't know, I bet Gasly had a sharp intake of breath there and didn't breathe for a few seconds because he very nearly stuck it in the wall at Saint-Devote. It's so easy to do that if the car gets out of shape in the middle of the corner. But as you say, Gasly has made his stop. I don't think he's going to get any help from his sister teammate either. And Ricciardo 1.5 seconds in the lead. Hamilton now just 3 seconds off the lead. There he is at the foot of the hill. Raikkonen catching them with Bottas too. So we are, as we said some time ago now, all 5 of them are going to end up in a line. That's why they get ready to stop Verstappen, doesn't it?
Valtteri Bottas, he was 27 seconds behind Daniel Ricciardo on lap 19. We're now on lap 44. He's only 8.3 seconds behind the race leader.
Now the Promenade Alonso in front of me.
Yep, understood, Max. Just keep doing what you're doing.
He's had a very good race, Max Verstappen. He hasn't stopped yet, but from last on the grid, he's made up some very good places. Others have pitted. It's allowed him to make up even more places, and he's running in the points at the moment.
So they want to get him to a stage where they can put some hyper-softs on Max Verstappen and give him a really fast car to the end of the Grand Prix, while others are struggling.
They want to keep him clear of Leclerc in 13th. They don't want him to pit and then come out behind Charles Leclerc, because Leclerc, Ericsson, Perez, Magnussen, they're only separated by a couple of seconds as well. I think they're still looking for a gap on that side of the Red Bull garage.
Once again, we saw the Red Bull harvesting, the red light flashing, harvesting battery power mid-pit straight there.
Well, whatever he's doing to manage and to nurse his car home,
keep me
he's doing
updated
it well.
on Max's pace. It's useful for me.
Yeah, Max is still plugging away doing 18.8s. He's done 43 laps. He's still doing 18.8s, mate.
Pirelli say, by the way, ultra soft tyres should do about 50 laps in this race. We're getting to the end of that. Through 48 comes Sebastian Vettel, having to manage a race where he knows that Ricciardo is within range, but has he got the grip to really go out and challenge and attack? He's got to watch Hamilton behind him now as well, because the minute Vettel makes a slight error, Hamilton's going to be there to pounce all over him. They are loving this in the grandstands round to back. I'm sure Ricciardo's loving the position he's in, Martin Brundle, but he's not loving what he's having to do to work at it and to keep going.
I often say Monaco's like a chess match, and this one certainly is, isn't it? Because they put these tyres on around lap 16, 17, and so if they do 50 laps, leaves them 10 laps short. That's why they've got to try and nurse them through a certain phase of the race. But they're graining anyway, and what Lewis saying, they're not coming back. Sometimes they clean up. The graining sweeps off the top of the tyre, the tyre comes back to you, but I don't see any sign of that outside of Ricciardo.
Wherever you're watching.
Yeah, copy that, Lewis. If you can go strap mode 6, strap mode 6.
Side of a racetrack, one of the apartments overlooking it, on your sofa, in your garden, on your tray, wherever you're watching. I'd imagine you're getting as tense as those out on the track at the moment as well, because we are separating the top 5 by just 8 seconds at the moment. Watching Nico Hülkenberg, he's the only one that...
Okay, something pops up.
Hey, Fab.
He's the only one of the top 6 that hasn't pitted. Verstappen hasn't either, and they're going as long as they possibly can. Ted, down to you.
Just to underline what a brilliant job Daniel Ricciardo is doing. He's 20 kilometres per hour down in the final sector. That's 12 miles an hour down in the final sector. All right, I know you can't overtake here, and Vettel has got his own problems, but Ricciardo's not going to let go of this win easily, is he? A quick one on Nico Hülkenberg. Still hasn't pitted. He's on... Sorry about that, everyone. Yes, he is doing a good job, Valtteri Bottas. Still hasn't pitted, Crofty. 48 laps, almost 48 laps on a single set of tyres. And he's still the quickest man. He's the second quickest man on track last time round. Second only to Esteban Ocon. Trying to see if anyone's gone quicker. No, they haven't.
Who's trying to catch him at the moment. Meanwhile, Pierre Gasly's trying to catch Max Verstappen as well. They blast past our commentary boxes here on the approach to Ras Kass.
Also, my rear tyres are gone. Just sliding on 4 wheels.
Yeah, copy, Max.
Like go-karting. Go-karting for Verstappen all over again. He still gets better exit out of Anthony Noakes and keeps ahead.
They would ideally like Verstappen to go another 10 laps, so he can get to within 20 laps of the end of the race. Put a new set of hypersofts on. That'll put him in the 1 minute 14 range, 1 minute 13 range even. And the tyres will last longer. They burn their fuel off, of course, from the start of the race. And that will give Verstappen an incredibly fast car. But I doubt they'll do 30 laps like that. So they're like, yeah, okay, we heard your tyres are rubbish. Carry on as you were. We've got to get a little bit further into the Grand Prix. Then you'll start setting the track alight.
Yeah, you've got to take the pain for what happened yesterday and that mistake that he made, the crash that subsequently followed, the gearbox change after practice and not taking part in qualifying, with Verstappen admits, yeah, it was my mistake, I made it, I made the error. 6 now collisions, 6 incidents in the first 6 races of the season. Christian Horner saying he needs to slow down and calm down a little bit, but now is not the time to talk about that. Now is the time to watch the Red Bull team get to work on Max Verstappen's pit stop. He is definitely coming into the pits. Ted, you can see him coming.
I can, yeah, that annoying siren sounds as he comes towards me, and I'm just seeing a bit of action actually for the Mercedes garage. Nice stop, Red Bull, nice stop. I'm just wondering, it's the hyper-soft, the pink striped tyres, so Verstappen's going to be super quick. I just wonder if Hamilton's in the mood to throw caution to the wind here, Crofty. I think he might think, okay, look, I might drop behind Raikkonen and Bottas here, but, you know, what the heck, let's go for it.
He is leading the championship as Verstappen comes back out onto the track in 11th place. He's leading the championship, Hamilton, by 17 points. Remember, he was 17 points behind after Bahrain, and at the moment he's conceding 3 points to Sebastian Vettel. Is he in the mood to throw caution to the wind?
He's got to consider the World Championship, hasn't he, as well as this race, as you rightly point out. And his engineers told him, you will lose 2 places, but if he's got pace, he'll make those back up again. He's so much faster. We're about to see what Verstappen can do, but if he takes all the life out of those tyres straight away, he too will be struggling towards the end. So you've got a certain amount of grip. You've got to decide how and when you want to use it, and not to rip the surface of the tyre apart as well. Verstappen will now show the front runners just what's possible if they were to come in and make a late-ish stop. And they don't want to be any later than 58, otherwise they'll waste the stop. They need to take the most out of the hypersoft for the 19 seconds it would cost them to make the pit stop.
So watching Lewis Hamilton behind Sebastian Vettel, car number 44, going for his 44th win for Mercedes this afternoon. Standing against him on that, this man, Sebastian Vettel. The man in front of him, Daniel Ricciardo as well. If Vettel wins, it'll be his 50th in Formula 1. Prost, Hamilton, Schumacher, and then Sebastian Vettel would be the only men to win 50 races or more in this sport. And Red Bull's 250th Grand Prix, Daniel Ricciardo is looking at the moment at a first Monaco Grand Prix win. They're on lap 50. They like to celebrate these historical milestones, Red Bull, very well. They won their 100th race, they won their 150th
okay,
race.
We can see the warning on your dash. What you're doing now is good, no extra action.
This problem that Daniel Ricciardo has had for so long still being managed.
Top 5 covered by 7 seconds now. Yeah, that sounds like an incremental issue, doesn't it, that's popped up on the dashboard. Ricciardo managing his car in the lead of the Monaco Grand Prix. 29 laps to do, including this one. It's a long one. What if Ferrari, if Mercedes suddenly go 2-stop, pull that particular stroke? What will they do with Ricciardo? Leave him out there and hope he can just block his way to the end? Or
surely that's the best way.
It'll be a sitting target towards the end, wouldn't he, with low power and really used tyres. It'll be fascinating to see what Red Bull decide to do in terms of, because they've only got a 1.4 second. Last time they pitted, he had a 3.6 second cushion, a nice and comfortable cushion.
So look, here goes Sebastian Vettel getting closer once again, Martin. I wonder if he's now starting to mount a second challenge to him and to try and get, look, he's 6/10, 7/10 down. He's within DRS range once again. He dropped back for a while. Hamilton is going with him as into the pits finally. For him comes Nico Hülkenberg, and into the pits again comes Sergei Sorokin. Hülkenberg now stops. That's his first pit stop of this race. He's gone 50 laps on those ultra-soft tyres. He comes out into the racetrack just behind his teammate Carlos Sainz. Sorokin's been lapped, remember. So Hülkenberg, who's now on the hyper-soft tyre, can start to go and attack as well.
It's worked out well for Hulkenberg. If he can stay ahead of Verstappen, I assume he can, because Sainz put his tyres on a lap 16, so he'll be moved straight out of the way if Hulkenberg comes up behind him in the sister Renault. So it didn't work out too badly at all by hanging on in there for Nico Hulkenberg. But you're right, Ferrari are Vettel now pushing harder. And if he gets DRS on the pit straight, and we know that the Red Bull is very slow down the pit straight, he's got a half a chance of overtaking into Saint-Denis. Getting very dirty with tyre marbles as the rubber's flicked off the tyres offline as well, so you're going to be very careful if you start taking unusual lines around this track.
This is Fernando Alonso under pressure now from Pierre Gasly, because once Verstappen came into the pits, that freed Gasly, who's been on those tyres an awful lot less than Fernando Alonso, to go and chase after the McLaren. Get the feeling Gasly is very much in the mood here for a crack at Fernando Alonso, maybe into Saint-Denis. It just gets the car in front gets a much better jump out of that final corner, makes it a lot more difficult with DRS. Gasly's closing in, but he's about 2 car lengths too far behind by the time they get to the right-hander, and to weave his way past on that occasion.
And they're then 18 laps younger, Gasly's tyres, than Alonso's.
So Verstappen still behind Hulkenberg, going through Massenet at the moment. How they would have wished having Red Bull it was the other way round, because he's got the pace on Hulkenberg, but Hulkenberg just changed his tyres as well. He's going to have to pull off something dramatic, I think, to get past the Renault there, but Hulkenberg up into the points. Carlos Sainz scoring points as well. And there are those marbles that Martin, you were mentioning, so through the tunnel. See so many of them. Gasly too far behind into the Nouvelle chicane to have a go once again at Alonso. But this is great to see the Frenchman attacking the double world champion.
Anybody running wide in the tunnel now is going straight into the wall. You're just going on top of a cushion of discarded rubber. Nothing, you're just a passenger at that point. So I just can't help but think Vettel or Hamilton's going to come in and try to go with a super fast car at the end.
We can't fix it. We can't
and
fix
you can
it,
see
but
it.
We can continue to run like this.
You could see Fernando Alonso slowing down dramatically on that main straight. That message might be a little bit old. Gasly has got past Fernando Alonso, who seems to be cruising into Saint-Denis, and Sainz and Hulkenberg are catching up Alonso as well. And Alonso, yeah, he has pulled over at Saint-Denis. He has stopped, and he's out of the race.
Will that be
okay, Fernando, understood.
Virtual safety car. Will they feel we've got men in the runoff area down at turn 1? Will this trigger? Will this be the dream that they're waiting for, a chance to pit? And because that's in the front, they're brilliant here at clearing cars away quickly. They might just cover it under double wave yellows, which means men on track, slow down, be prepared to stop.
I tell you what, Alonso there knew there was nothing he could do to salvage that problem, and knew he had to find an escape road. There's only one decent escape road, and that is down at Saint-Denis. So double waved yellows being waved whilst they recover that car, move it out to safety. I don't think they are going to need a VSC at all, Martin, because they're pushing it away.
Yeah, they managed to open the clutch so the car can freewheel away, and the marshals here are so used to extricating cars that are in difficult places.
So Fernando Alonso would score points in every single race so far in 2018, becomes the first retirement of this Monaco Grand Prix. Sorokin and Stroll have been lapped. Everybody else is on the lead lap. Daniel Ricciardo is the race leader with problems on his engine. And look at this, Sainz, Hulkenberg, Verstappen through Casino Square.
Sainz will have to let Hulkenberg through and not let Verstappen through. He's got to let him through somehow, because they're on such different race strategies. Nothing to do with number 1 or number 2 status.
Is that the order, Cyril Abiteboul? Does Sainz let his teammate through?
Yeah, we don't like that, but frankly, I think it's a team situation. I think everyone understands that that needs to be done. We have a chance to race against Gasly. So I think Carlos understands that we have a very different strategic tire age. I think Carlos will do that, and we'll all along for the FIFA next one.
But has he had the message He had to let him through because he's not letting him through. He couldn't let him through the chicane.
Carlos will let you by. Carlos will let you by. Just wait for the moment. Place to do it, and we are not putting any unnecessary pressure on him to find the right moment to do that.
Seems like an impossible task. How does he let one car through and not the other? To be honest, I'm not sure where is the best place on the track.
I agree. That's right. We are not putting any extra pressure on him.
Cyril, thank you so much. We're seeing it happen now. Nico Hülkenberg gets past Carlos Sainz. Verstappen's going to have a go into Massenet, but Verstappen is a bit too far back. That is a great team job by Carlos Sainz there. Picked his moment superbly well, has kept Verstappen at bay and has released Hülkenberg to go chase after Gasly.
Yeah, it worked well, didn't it? He waited the thick end of a lap to make it happen. It was inevitable. It said it's not about first or second drivers. They're on such completely different strategies. It would be crazy not to make that happen.
As Cyril said, we don't like to do this, but we have to. Thank you from Nico Hülkenberg towards his teammate there. Good piece of defensive driving as well by Carlos Sainz. Now is Verstappen going to have a go into the back here? We know you can get past those things. Felipe Massa do that before on this occasion. Max Verstappen finds himself still stuck behind the Renault, running in 10th place.
Ocon down in the 1:17s now as well. He's found some good pace, but he pitted on lap 23. Suddenly, he's comfortably the fastest man on the track.
Esteban Ocon with just 1 point scoring finish.
Hülkenberg's just now into the 16th. Sorry,
that's all right, mate. 1 point scoring finish for Esteban Ocon so far this season. Retired in the last 2 races, running in a very nice, handy 6th place at the moment. But we are now back with our race leader and the man in 2nd place that we ride on board with. Sebastian Vettel, I think, is really going for it here. The Ferrari fan turning to the right, because through the swimming pool chicane goes his hero, Sebastian Vettel. Can he find a way to pick that scarlet red Ferrari past the Red Bull and take the lead of this race? Needs a good exit out of Anthony Nodes.
Let's see if he catches him down the pit straight, because he's supposed to be 20-30 k's slower down there. But yeah, we're catching him a little bit towards the end, but not as much as you might imagine. Can Ricciardo go this slowly and win the Monaco Grand-Prix with an engine issue? Was that a slow Mercedes in the background? It's definitely it. Well, this is a replay, obviously, of Fernando and Alonso, but
gear box full of neutrals sounds horrible, that, doesn't it? Max Verstappen back on the tail then of Carlos Sainz. Sure if it was a slow Mercedes or not. I'm just looking at sector times at the moment, Martin. It doesn't seem to give an indication that it was. Verstappen gets a really good exit out of the final corner. Now he's getting a slipstream behind Carlos Sainz. Pulls out to try and go past the Renault. Sainz blocks him off. Remember Grosjean and Verstappen here a few years ago? This time around, Verstappen thought cautious and was the better part of it, but he's still harrying and hassling the Renault up towards Massenet.
Yeah, copy Lewis, no need to.
Carlos Sainz fancies a Red Bull drive one of these days. And look at how close that was. He might have to give that place back.
Got the track.
He did. Sainz will have to, in my view, Sainz will have to give that place.
Does Verstappen have another go here? Does he try it once again, or is he going to rely on the stewards to say they'll give it back? He's going to go for it, of course he is. He's Max Verstappen, down towards the chicane he goes. This time he's cut the chicane, but comes back over the curve and still stays ahead of Carlos Sainz. Sainz tries to fight back, through to back. Verstappen gets ahead and moves up into 9th place. And is that 6 to 1, half a dozen of the other? Should he be able to keep on in that 9th place?
I think he made a reasonable attempt to stay on the racetrack. And Verstappen not going to wait for the stewards to give him that place. They're right in calling in, because they know that goes to race control. But Carlos definitely cut the chicane. Max, I think he made a reasonable attempt, albeit coming from the back of the curve, to make the chicane.
Did, and well done for Carlos Sainz there, and actually letting Verstappen come back on and not making any contact. Still, Vettel is within, or was within DRS range, I should say. Now Daniel Ricciardo's actually pulled a bit more of a gap on the German. Just 7 seconds separating the top 5.
Can you check the gearbox?
Yep.
He's had gearbox issues earlier on in the race, and they said it shouldn't come back again.
Well, they probably weren't imagining it was going to come from behind a curve and leap into the air. Probably with a bit of throttle on for good measure. So if you're going to go now, you're going to go and make it a two-stop race and take your chances. Now's the time to do it, so you get the most benefit. Yeah. And they could be 4 or 5 seconds of that faster if they pit. Can they clear the cars in front of them?
Now, looking at Lance Stroll's pace, remember he set the fastest lap of the race at 1:15.3 on lap 37. That's way down to 1:19s, but it's how long you can keep going on that out-and-out full pace that the Hypersoft type, it doesn't necessarily last as long as say, a normal softest tyre of the race would, if that makes sense. You're only going to get 5 or 6 really good laps out of it, probably.
And I don't think it'll grain anything like as much now they're on low fuel property, so I think it should certainly. But you know, if you lose 19 seconds on a pit stop, you're not too many laps. If you start doing 12s and 13s, you're not too many laps getting those 19 seconds back. The problem is it's acquisition.
Really good point. Ted, down to you.
The word I'm hearing from Mercedes, they're still working out what to do with Lewis Hamilton. Bottas is fine, he has the tyre life, but he can't use it. We see some tyres.
Yeah, they're just checking.
But the problem is that Ocon now is in Hamilton's pit window, isn't he? So Hamilton pits now, he'll only just make it ahead of Ocon, but only just. And now a 17.3 from Ocon.
Yeah, that's gone now.
It's gone now, isn't it? So Hamilton works a bit now. He's behind not only Raikkonen and Bottas, which we already knew he would be if he did a two-stop, but now Ocon as well. Also on the red stripe super soft tyre.
And the fastest man on the track now, he has been released. It's Max Verstappen. 1:14.8. Down in 9th place, chasing after Nico Hulkenberg.
Ted's right, they missed the opportunity with Lewis to take a gamble on a two-stop. Ferrari going to try anything as well. They've got a bit of extra margin because they're ahead of Hamilton by 2.9 seconds. But Ocon and Gasly are fighting like crazy for 6th and 7th place and pumping in the quick laps. So's Hulkenberg on his fresh tyres, and especially Verstappen. So now 28 seconds covers the top 8, and they're all concertinaing up behind Daniel Ricciardo, who seems to be nursing all kinds of issues.
And they're all concertinaing up at that stage of the race, Martin, where you know full well, having driven in Monaco many, many times, mental fatigue does set in. If there's going to be a mistake, it happens round about lap 60, lap 65, because you're getting a bit tired mentally at this stage.
It's certainly tough. Every time we've gone on board, they've been so cautious through the corners. Are they going to push towards the end? But I think this is playing into Red Bull's hand, because Ferrari and Mercedes have been playing a cat and mouse game, and you can see that dull section again on the top of Valtteri Bottas's tyres, where the tyres are what they call grained. It means the tyre just slides across the surface, and by playing a cat and mouse amongst themselves, Mercedes and Ferrari, and not going for a two-stopper, it's saved Red Bull having to make that decision.
They don't see Red Bull as championship challengers, Mercedes and Ferrari. They see each other as championship challengers, but not necessarily Red Bull. So I don't think they mind going away from here with a Red Bull victory necessarily.
That's exactly what Niki Lauda said to us, didn't it, in the pre-show? You know, as long as we score more points than Vettel, we don't mind, which they're not, of course, at the moment.
As it stands at the moment, Lewis Hamilton conceding just 3 points to Sebastian Vettel in that championship. Valtteri Bottas behind Kimi Raikkonen, only conceded a couple of points to him. He's Max Verstappen on his own at the moment, but still lapping very quickly indeed, catching Nico Hulkenberg. That's 7 and a bit seconds behind, about 5 seconds behind him now. Williams pit crew have been the busiest pit crew of the afternoon. Lance Stroll comes in again with another set of Hypersoft tyres, but what else are they going to do? He's 2 laps down.
Well, when they put the Hypers on at 36, we didn't think they'd go to the end, of course. They haven't. They're down in 18th and 19th.
So the reason why Carlos Sainz let Nico Hulkenberg pass was so Hulkenberg could have a shot at Pierre Gasly. Here he is, separated by about half a car length around the road of
and Verstappen's going to catch a lot of them. Ocon, Gasly and Hulkenberg for good measure. They're a long way back now unless somebody two-stops. And I think the pace of this midfield is now forcing everybody to one stop up front, which is hurting Bottas a chance on those tyres and helping Ricciardo because he's got track position.
Can Hulkenberg find a way through this? Tabak is navigated once more into the Swimming chicane. What a place to stand on the outside of that corner and watch Formula 1 cars in their change of direction, instant change of direction. Round Raskas, where they stand with a glass of something cold and fizzy in their hands. Late into the night they stand with something cold and fizzy in their hands. Brewing up nicely, bubbling up nicely. Hulkenberg and Gasly just too far back. Nico Hulkenberg to make a move on the Frenchman once again. But up through Beau Rivage we go, and still he's tantalisingly within touching distance of the rear wing of the Toro Rosso.
Ricciardo 4/10 quicker on the previous lap to one they lost another 3. This is really cat and mouse, isn't it? Yeah. Ricciardo just pacing himself to Vettel. Hamilton says, I can't stay with these guys, even in the 1:18s. And nothing to catch him from behind. How bizarre.
Yeah, it is the fastest sports in the world. But today, to be the fastest, you've got to be a little bit slower. And you've got to be a bit more cagey. You've got to make sure your car gets to the checkered flag. There are 15 laps to go for Daniel Ricciardo. We watch Lewis Hamilton cross the line once again in third place, just 4 seconds behind the race leader. 3.5 seconds as he crosses the line.
Ricciardo in the 1:17s now. That's good, extending his lead. He has got some cornering pace. He might not have a lot of straight line speed, but he has got some pace.
Saw Daniel Ricciardo on Wednesday. We had a little chat and he threatened to jump into the harbour when he wins in Monaco, he said. Mainly because the state of the Red Bull swimming pool on their energy station this weekend, he said, gets a bit mucky by the end of the race day.
Verstappen's going to be on your tail very shortly.
I see trouble brewing. Hulkenberg is on Gasly's gearbox. Verstappen is about to arrive on Hulkenberg's gearbox.
3 into 1 doesn't go ever. Meanwhile, Verstappen's teammate Ricciardo, whether he jumps into the harbour or not, he's getting to the stage now where he can start to relax that little bit more, as you never relax before you get to the checkered flag. No time for relaxing if you're on board with Nico Hulkenberg as we are now, riding in 8th place. Through the tunnel we go, fastest part of the track, out into the daylight, braking downhill towards the Nouvelle chicane. Gasly doing a sensational job to keep the Renault at bay, but look who's behind Hulkenberg now, arriving on the scene, waiting to pick up the scraps. It's Max Verstappen, past the place where he crashed in practice yesterday. It relegated him to the back of the grid. Couldn't take part in qualifying, but he certainly served up plenty of excitement as a result, going from last to so far 9th this afternoon.
Clean, please, mate.
And there is a very pertinent reminder from the pit wall: keep your overtakes clean in future.
Wow. Maybe that's a little message from race control of, we'll let you off that little bump across the chicane, but don't do it again. I don't think that was a don't have an accident, son. Was it? It might have been. Well, maybe it was both messages.
They want to promote overtaking, say the FIA. They don't want to penalise the drivers for having a go, but they do want to stick to the rules.
Toro Rosso, Honda, Renault, Red Bull, Renault. Honda's doing just a fine job for Gasly, isn't it? To the back of that, he's 7th, 8th and 9th that we're watching. Now he's got there. Verstappen's not really quite in play, but where are they on Ocon? They're just 3.8 seconds behind Ocon for good measure. Vettel back in the DRS zone, drag reduction system zone, down the pit straight. He's within a second of Ricciardo, but that's popped back to 1.1 seconds now as they've just crossed the line.
Ricciardo knows where to try and extend the pace or extend the gap that he's got to keep Vettel as much at bay in the DRS zone as he possibly can. Doing a sensational job there, as is Pierre Gasly, 4th of course in Bahrain this year for Toro Rosso, his first full season with the team. The Frenchman in his first Monaco Grand Prix is currently running in 7th place and on for a 2nd point scoring finish of the season.
Ricciardo's got a bit of traffic with Grosjean, who's on his own, and then he catches Van Dorn and Magnussen. So shouldn't be too much of a problem, but because if you're lacking a bit of straight line speed, passing back markers doesn't become any easier.
Gasly never ever score points, racing in many times in F2, the support series, on course for a first point-scoring visit in Formula 1. Debut in Formula 1 here to the Prince of Malachy.
Starting to push.
Yes.
Starting to get a little bit racy with what grip they've got left.
Well, it's a place, Martin, where if you do fancy a flutter, if you do like a gamble, there are plenty of opportunities around the Prince of Malachy. Is Vettel in a mood to gamble? Is Ricciardo in a mood where he can gamble on pushing that a bit harder? Is Hamilton in a position struggling on his tyres as well, where he can gamble a bit? And what have those drivers down in the midfield got to lose? Hartley, Leclerc, Ericsson, Perez, Magnussen, Van Dorn running so close together as they have been for the last 15 or so laps.
Ocon's keeping the gap back to Gasly. His P6 looks secure enough.
Through comes Sergio Perez, his teammate, stuck right in the middle of it. He could have been way further up the field had they not have had a problem at his pit stop, which resulted in him spending about an extra 10 seconds at least stationary while they fixed the right rear tyre. Here comes Charles Leclerc, running in 12th place at the moment, ahead of his teammate Marcus Ericsson Sauber on the fringes of the points. Charles Leclerc trying to become the first Sauber driver since his teammate Marcus Ericsson in 2015 to score 3 races in a row, harrying Brendan Hartley up the hill. Whilst Vettel continues to be a second, 1.2 seconds now behind Daniel Ricciardo. What about you? I've had kind of fingers crossed for Daniel Ricciardo for quite some time now. He's just one of those guys you like to see good things happen to occasionally, and he rather deserves, after a couple of years ago, to have a very nice Monaco this afternoon.
Yeah, it was taken away from him through no fault of his own, but I sense he's just now matching whatever Vettel does. It just keeps the second gap, and Hamilton really not hanging on. He said, I can't hang on to their pace. He's certainly very right about that.
Through Massenet we go, Verstappen waiting patiently to pounce. Move to the right-hand side to avoid that bump that helps the buses to left or come out right on the roads when there's no Formula 1 cars racing around Monaco.
It's an interesting one. Ocon, Gasly, Hulkenberg and Verstappen are all catching Bottas very quickly indeed. Bottas really struggling now. So maybe those supers weren't the ones to go to the end of the race on after all. He's not gaining anything from the others to stopping. And suddenly, he's got Ocon coming at him at over 2 seconds a lap.
Bottas has had to drop back from Kimi just a little bit as well. He's been racing quite close to Kimi as Grosjean now gets lapped by the race leader and the man in second place. There's only 3 cars have been lapped in this race now, and only 1 car's retired. That's Fernando Alonso.
That hurt Vettel coming up the hill there because he had to go offline, quite a lot offline. Probably picked up some rubbish on his tyres. Worked out better for Ricciardo than Vettel there by a few metres. The tent's got used.
And a few stories down here, just next door to the Haas garage. It's pretty a miserable Monaco Grand Prix for the American team. Kevin Magnussen's been in a race-long battle with Stoffel Van Dorn. He's stayed ahead of the second McLaren, the only McLaren in the race at the moment. Grosjean, as you can see, having his own problems way down. Just a quick one on the homeboy, Charles Leclerc, holding his own, but he's stuck behind Brendan Hartley. Hartley with a loss of downforce with that broken front wing. He's still carrying. And Leclerc has been a second behind the Toro Rosso pretty much for the whole of the race. And I have repeatedly asked Red Bull exactly what the problem is.
I believe that's going to be it for traffic to the end of the race now. So let's go back into you with him. Doing a great job.
What the problem is with Ricciardo, he is doing a great job. Red Bull are very tight-lipped. They're not saying, I think it's K-Mag, no, it's Grosjean. He's just got a blue flag to avoid some traffic. And so that's a late stop for Romain Grosjean. And it's the pink stripe, brand new set of pink striped tyres. Maybe he fancies the fastest lap just to cheer himself up after a miserable weekend. But I just wonder with Ricciardo, maybe it's ironically what everybody was accusing Ferrari of, but in reverse, i.e. not getting enough
5 seconds penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Seriously? Tell them to double check. I'm pretty sure I did.
How would you know? They're normally pretty good on the guns, aren't they? But maybe it's that they're not getting enough electrical energy from the battery to the MGUK, the generator, the motor that runs off the engine, the motor generating the engine. Yeah, so which would be ironic, because it would be exactly the opposite of what everyone's been accusing Ferrari of doing.
Ricciardo just stretched that lead out to 1.8 seconds. Vettel trying to come back at him. But the passing Grosjean hurt him. Ricciardo's just started pumping in mid 1 minute 17s.
Well, this is the stage now, Martin, where we saw in the early parts of Ricciardo's problem, his tyres better shape than Vettel's tyres, and this is where I think we're going to start to see the result of that now. Because if they are starting to drop off Vettel, he's going to have to be very careful. Although Hamilton and Raikkonen suffering too.
And I think we could well get a big queue behind Raikkonen yet of Bottas, Ocon, Gasly, Hulkenberg and Verstappen in the closing stages. Ocon getting so close to Bottas now, look. And the other trio at the foot of the hill.
You know that Esteban Ocon likes to go for it. We know that he doesn't need a second invitation to try and pull off a few overtakes as well. But for Force India, these are very useful points indeed. In 6th place at the moment. His tyres look a little bit nasty. These tyres that will last you if you look after them, but when they do start to drop off, you start to lose a lot of grip, you start to lose a lot of speed, and you are vulnerable to those behind you.
His tyres are 6 laps younger, at the same spec as Bottas in front of him, so he's done a good job of keeping Bottas was tucked up behind Raikkonen for good measure to hurt his tyres a little bit. He's going to be right there, look. Bottas is going to have to very much re-engage, but Kimi hasn't got the pace to get out of his way.
So Bottas, as you can see, 1.1 seconds behind Kimi Raikkonen and Esteban Ocon, now getting within DRS range of Valtteri Bottas. He picked this up a few laps ago, Martin. He is right on the scene now, Ocon.
Well, we saw the Force Indias politely getting out of the way for Mercedes earlier on. I'm not expecting the same service.
Leclerc behind has a problem. Leclerc behind has got the problem. We need to open the gap as much as you can. We are doing a good job.
What is Leclerc's problem? And is Leclerc actually going to go for it here? No, he can't stop! And he has gone straight on into Brendan Hartley. You could see that was coming. Charles Leclerc's first ever home Grand Prix at Monaco has ended with retirement and big damage as well to the Toro Rosso and Brendan Hartley. Under braking, Leclerc had no chance to get out of the way, couldn't control his car. That looks more like a Briscoe F1 stock car at the moment than a Toro Rosso, and they stand by for a potential pit stop here and a potential safety car as well. This could totally change the race.
I had no brakes. Brakes went completely off.
I wondered if he just got it caught up against the barrier on the right-hand side.
Virtual safety car, sorry Martin.
And they've just passed the pits, haven't they? The leaders, some of the leaders have just passed the pits.
Ricciardo and Vettel and Hamilton have passed the pits.
So who's going to get any advantage on this?
I think they all might be passing the pits as well and deciding to stay out in this one, because I think they can see, unless there's a huge amount of debris, this virtual safety car's not going to last long.
He saw a big puff there. You did see his left front brake fail as soon as he hit the brakes. Puff of black carbon dust and brake failure then. It won't slow down. He did actually rub the barrier, but the problem came before that. That'll be a shot you'll see in the magazines in the week and on Sky F1 website.
Charles Leclerc, man sending shockwaves through Formula 1 with his potential for the future, sending shockwaves through the back of Brendan Hartley's Toro Rosso there. Nothing Hartley could do about that. Nothing Leclerc could do about that. We have got a virtual safety car. We're watching the pits here. Nobody's come in. So I just get the feeling they feel that it might clear up very, very quickly.
Lot of debris though. I mean, some of it off the racing line. I'll probably run that off the racing line, it must be said.
Looks like debris on the right-hand side of braking, so stay on the left, braking for turn 10.
So down to you.
Surely with only sort of 5 laps left, there wouldn't be enough space or time for them to get the benefit of new tyres if they did get it.
No, I tend to agree with you, Ted.
He's going to give it a go. Brand new set of hyper-soft tyres on. If anyone's confused, I know they might look white on the television, but they're not white mediums, they're pink.
Lewis Hamilton's brand new baseball cap for this race as well. Van Dorn comes out, lap down.
So they have earliest time of arrival at various sectors, quite short sectors through the lap, and they have to get ready to bolt straight away. It's going to end now. Virtual safety car is ending, and as soon as it ends, they've got to be on the throttle and away.
And look where Van Dorn has come out as well. I said he was a lap down. He is a lap down to Ricciardo, but not to Vettel. So as it goes green, Daniel Ricciardo has a McLaren in between himself and his nearest challenger, Sebastian Vettel.
And he got on it much earlier than Vettel did. So that worked perfectly for Ricciardo and built in the gap, as you rightly say, with a car in between them for good measure.
Ricciardo then, as we head off racing once again, leads still this Monaco Grand Prix from Sebastian Vettel. The gap has increased back to Lewis Hamilton by about 10 seconds now. But Kimi Räikkönen has Valtteri Bottas right behind him. We're watching the leaders here. The action's going on between Räikkönen, Bottas, Ocon and Gasly.
Vettel can't get tyre temperature. He's so slow. He just can't fire the tyres back up. Where is he? He's nowhere to be seen, is he, look, Vettel? I think he just hasn't got... He's either got a specific problem or he just has no tyre temperature.
He is just coming around Raskas right now. Is Sebastian Vettel as Daniel Ricciardo crosses the line. The gap was 3 seconds between Ricciardo and Vettel. By the time they crossed the line, it's now around about 5 seconds. Valtteri Bottas trying to chase Kimi Räikkönen under pressure from Esteban Ocon as well. Hamilton is now 7.9 seconds behind. 5 seconds Vettel behind Räikkönen, and Bottas behind Räikkönen with Ocon for company as well.
Yeah, Vettel over 5 seconds adrift. Could not find any grip when they restarted there, playing beautifully into the hands of Daniel Ricciardo. You know Van Dorn had a brand new set of tyres on, so he would always find the grip in that situation. They did that quite late, and that's why he's troubling the leader. And if Ricciardo feels so inclined, I think you should just let him get out of the way.
Yeah, but that means going on to the marbles potentially, Martin, and picking up bits on your tyres that you really don't want.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to squabble with him either. That's very true. What will Van Dorn do? Will he stay out of the fight?
Round Raskas we go. Van Dorn is absolutely at his wants to try and get past the Red Bull. He can unwrap himself should he think he has the pace.
That Red Bull, you can see the red light flashing. It's been harvesting all race long since we heard about that problem, isn't it? Charging its batteries up, climbing the hill there where you normally want maximum acceleration.
And look, he's up 3/4 of the way up the hill. Sebastian Vettel just turning around Sandovot at the moment.
Who's 8.5 ahead of Hamilton, who had similar issues.
Bottas getting closer to Räikkönen once again. Hülkenberg right on Gasly's tail down in 8th place. Verstappen right.
Oh, big lock up for Vettel. Will he get round there?
Just. That is not an easy place to lose control.
So easy to go down the escape road and lose 20-30 seconds sorting out. There's not enough space to spin around, or just nosing it into the barriers. Lucky escape there for Sebastian Vettel, and once again playing big time into the hands of the ever-smiling Daniel Ricciardo. The big fight though, the one I want to see is Ocon, Gasly, Hülkenberg.
Quite. I would imagine Ricciardo is starting to smile just that little bit more now. He's managing the situation nicely indeed. There's Bottas behind Kimi Räikkönen. Then comes Ocon ahead of Pierre Gasly through that chicane. Max Verstappen still in 9th.
We suggest...
I got it, buddy.
You suggest what?
And he said, I got it, buddy,
yeah. I would imagine that is the news that a lot of people down under want to hear. I've got it, buddy, says Daniel Ricciardo. Jack Brabham in 1959, Mark Webber 2010 and 2012, previous Australian winners of the Monaco Grand Prix. Daniel Ricciardo is but a couple of laps from the end as Charles Leclerc walks back after his brake failure that took out Brendan Hartley as well. Through Massenet we go with Kimi Räikkönen and Valtteri Bottas. Bottas who at one stage looked a good contender here on the super soft tyres, but is struggling along with the rest.
Ricciardo, 1 minute 16. He had the pace in the car. He was just saving it for when it mattered. He had it covered.
His teammate, fastest man on the track this afternoon. Ricciardo had set 3 of the last 5 fastest laps, but he won't care about not doing that this afternoon. It's all about the win for him. Meanwhile, the Finns battling it out, scrapping it out. Can Bottas get any closer into the chicane? No, not enough on this particular occasion. And behind, they still scrap away the likes of Verstappen, Hülkenberg and Gasly and Ocon. There's always the potential for something to happen here at Monaco, and these cars have been so close together for this entire race as Ricciardo starts his final lap.
Vettel then only just finding some grip into 117, still nowhere near Daniel Ricciardo. I've got it, buddy. He certainly has.
He led FP1, FP2, FP3, Q1, Q2 and Q3 and the race, leading that every lap of the race as well. Last time this happened, Lewis Hamilton, 2017 in the USA. It doesn't happen very often, but it's a perfect Monaco Grand Prix weekend for Daniel Ricciardo, with Red Bull celebrating their 250th Grand Prix, as they did in their 100th and their 150th with a race win as well. You can't deny, Martin, he really does deserve it this weekend.
Not quite there yet, but he does. He's dominated, hasn't he? Absolutely. He won't have full house because he hasn't got fastest lap, but he does have. He's led every session, every lap of the race.
He's been brilliant. He's never won from pole before. He's never won from the top 3 before. He had pole here in Monaco. Once upon a time, he had the win taken away from him through no fault of his own. Today in Monte Carlo, it's redemption day for Daniel Ricciardo. He wins the Monaco Grand Prix, and he will celebrate that for a long, long time to come. Sebastian Vettel comes home to take second place and close Lewis Hamilton's championship lead. Hamilton in third place completes the podium lineup ahead of Kimi Räikkönen and Valtteri Bottas, fighting it out to the finish. Behind them, Esteban Ocon, 6th place for Force India, Gasly, Hülkenberg and Verstappen, and then will come a long, long way back, Carlos Sainz to take the points position. Ricciardo took pole. He said last night, it's the job half done. He has returned today to finish it off.
Absolutely amazing. I don't know how you did that, Daniel. Incredible. Holy.
Holy tomorrow. Cheers, boys. Redemption.
Didn't make it easy for you, mate. We didn't make it easy. I do not know how you did that.
I can't wait for someone to ask him what went wrong.
Yeah.
Because we want to know now what he had to do.
Certainly looked slow enough down the pit straight, but he had enough speed in the corners. Still his tyres looked good at the end of the race. And he just took off like a scolded cat. I mean, he won by 7.3 seconds in the end.
So many things could have gone wrong. So many things were going on to try and fix. But what he has fixed now, Martin, and I mentioned it, he mentioned it, and I find this interesting as well, redemption. He knew he was owed a win round here because he did nothing wrong in 2016. You interviewed him on the podium that day. You know how badly he took that day.
Absolutely, he was destroyed, and I can understand that. Well, he was ready. He might never get another chance. He has had a chance. So Jack Brabham won this race. A famous Australian driver, of course, back in '59. Mark Webber in 2010 and 2012. And that'll be a very popular victory.
And for Sebastian Vettel, he closes that championship lead of Lewis Hamilton's. Esteban Ocon with his 2nd points finish of the season. Pierre Gasly with his 2nd points finish of the season. Nico Hülkenberg and Carlos Sainz scoring twice for Renault. Fernando Alonso, we lost because of a gearbox. Charles Leclerc ran into the back of Brendan Hartley. They didn't see the checkered flag either. Williams struggled throughout this race. Stoffel Van Dorn down in 14th in the end after a late tyre change. Didn't quite work out for him.
Unbelievable. You have done an amazing job today. That is right up there with what Schumacher did in 1995. And this is payback for 2016.
Well, Christian Horner getting very emotional as well as you can imagine. That would have been tense on the pit wall today in the extreme.
What he's referring to is Schumacher stuck in 5th gear, still in Barcelona, I believe it was, and still managing to win the race.
For a moment, some quiet seconds of contemplation for Daniel Ricciardo, but you can see the smile in his eyes, quite frankly.
Give Prince Albert a shoey.
Is that allowed? Is that allowed?
A royal shoey.
He stands on top of the halo.
Fall off there and break your ankle or something, Daniel.
And that's an image I think you'll see in your morning papers as well. King of the world, well, King of Monaco for 78 laps today. You did it, Daddy, they shout.
The great irony is he doesn't have a contract for next year. He's got contracts around and about, but does he stay in Verstappen's home? Does he go to Vettel's home? Does he go to Hamilton's home? Where does he go to? He's certainly making a strong case for a good deal, isn't he?
Well, his second race win of the season. The options are all there. The man who masterminded the design of that race car comes to collect the Constructors' Trophy. Sebastian Vettel thanks his Ferrari team as well. Ferrari 18 points behind Mercedes in the championship. Let's hear from the drivers.
Oh, there's Christian Horner squeezing through. Sebastian, as you've got your helmet off first, we'll let Daniel celebrate with your old team, Red Bull Racing. Your sixth podium result here, but not the result you're looking for. You just didn't have the pace today?
I think we had the pace, but it was a tricky race, so I think Daniel had the answers at all time. First stint, I could follow him fairly easy, and then he started to push just when I think Lewis started to pit. So then, yeah, he was a bit stronger there. We couldn't follow. I was going through the tires fairly quick. Next stint was a bit the same. I think he had a problem halfway through with his MG UK. I think towards the end that picked up again, and then at the restart, I just didn't have much confidence in the tires, so I lost quite a lot. Otherwise, it would have been nice to keep the pressure on until the end.
Okay, well, congratulations on that podium result. Let's go to our winner, Daniel Ricciardo. You win in Monaco. How do you feel?
Good. I think I can show more emotion today than yesterday. 2 years in the making this, so I finally feel like the redemption has arrived. We had problems. I don't know how much the radio broadcast, but we had a lot to deal with during the race. I think it was before halfway. I felt a loss of power, and I thought the race was done. And we got home just using 6 gears. So, thanks, man. Just thanks to the team, we got it back. So, I'm stoked.
Well, we did have the radio played into our broadcast. We were with you in the cockpit. We knew you were driving wounded. This was reminiscent of as a Schumacher in Barcelona stuck in 5th gear. You managed it superbly, so that must make it even more sweet.
Yeah, there was a few doubts that came in mid-race, but yeah, just we won Monaco, so feels good. Feels good. Thanks everyone for the support. There's a lot of Aussie flags on the in-lap, so thanks everyone. Awesome.
Soak it up, and the Prince will be waiting for you when you go up. Lewis Hamilton, difficult weekend. You mentioned after qualifying it was about damage limitation. You still gave it your all out there, but you just, that was the best you could get today, 3rd place.
Well, firstly, a big congratulations to Red Bull and to Daniel. They did a great job this weekend. Ultimately, they were the quickest all weekend, and we knew that would be the case. So, it would be nice to have been second, but I did everything I could. It was an interesting race. Oh, the least interesting race.
Okay, well, thanks for the entertainment. We're going to have the top 3 finishers in this Grand Prix are also the top 3 in the championship. Enjoy the podium ceremony.
Lewis Hamilton on 110 points, Sebastian Vettel on 96 points, and Daniel Ricciardo on 72 points now in the championship. Hugs from Christian Horner, and then his wife Jerry as well for the race winner today. And I think he might get a few more hugs between now and tomorrow. They'll be queuing up.
They'll be very satisfied with that. They really dominated Monaco this weekend. Fastest in every practice session, on pole, led every lap.
And missing a gear. Only 8 gears on a Formula 1 car, but he didn't have the benefit of all 8 of them. There's always someone wanting an autograph somewhere. The drivers now, Martin, get to go up to the podium, stand above the start-finish straight.
2 and 3 for the podium. Careful for the spraying.
Allez, 1, 2, 3.
Adrian Newey, the Formula One whisperer, going up there to accept the prize on behalf of the constructor, Red Bull. Sebastian Vettel, the Red Bull 4-time world champion, of course, up there with them as well, a man they know very well, who they beat today. Been lucky enough to be up on the royal podium here in Monaco. It is a very, very special feeling. It's somewhat more grand these days, and it's just become a little bit grander with these three on board.
It's become a lot more smilier with this man, receiving the congratulations as he walks onto the podium for a 7th Grand Prix win in his career. The first time starting on pole as well. Daniel Ricciardo triumphs in Monaco.
Verstappen saves a couple of points in 9th place from the back of the grid, but he'll be taking some pain watching this.
So he led every single session over the weekend and nailed it when he had the chance to win the race too. Victory is very sweet. Sebastian Vettel, a 6th podium finish in Monaco this afternoon. Elusive victory. Was within tantalising close distance, but not quite in the end. He receives the runners-up trophy from Princess Charlene. And Lewis Hamilton, his championship lead now 14 points, also picks up a 6th podium finish in Monaco as well.
3rd and 5th for Mercedes. They might just be satisfied with that actually in Monaco. They knew it wouldn't be their strongest race.
Well, we came here and Red Bull were the favourites, we were told. We haven't actually had national anthems yet, or the Constructors' Trophy. Lewis Hamilton is in the mood to celebrate with some champagne, but we need to just wait. President of the ACM, the Automobile Club de Monaco, presents the Constructors' Trophy to Adrian Newey. Austrian and Australian smiles and celebrations for Red Bull winning here in Monaco this afternoon, and for Daniel Ricciardo, happy to pose for any picture, even without Adrian Newey there. The championship lead cut down to 14 points. Ferrari close up in the Constructors' Championship as well. Ricciardo moves into third place in the Drivers' Championship and soaks up the champagne for a 7th Grand Prix victory, and the most special so far.
Vettel jumped the start there, didn't he?
As he said, 2 years in the making. We've had 2 victories for Sebastian Vettel, 2 for Lewis Hamilton, 2 for Daniel Ricciardo in the opening 6 races of 2018. Bubbling up nicely, this, isn't it? So 78 laps of the Monaco Grand Prix, and as Prince Albert looks on, let's us look back a little bit at the leading moments. From the start, Ricciardo had to get away well, and he did. Sebastian Vettel tried to get past, but there was absolutely no room into Sainte Devote. So far, so good for the Australian.
Great driving, attacking into the first corner, but nobody managing to trip over each other or find the barriers.
Verstappen, though, was picking off places. Marcus Ericsson, Magnussen, Grosjean, all passed in the first lap, and he didn't stop there, getting past Lance Stroll into the Nivelle chicane.
Cautious attacking, but he made sure he didn't connect with anybody.
Into the pits first came Lewis Hamilton. Mercedes going for the one-stop strategy, trying to get others to go with them. But Esteban Ocon was in front of Hamilton, and he had to let him past.
Ocon putting up no fight whatsoever. We saw that Force India not wanting to trouble the manufacturer.
Into the pits came our race leader 2 years ago. This was what cost him victory. No such issues today. But Sebastian Vettel, Martin, right on his tail, and this is where we knew problems were starting.
He said he didn't have any power. It seemed impossible he could stay ahead of the Ferraris and win this race.
Could they get to the finish? Christian Horner, Helmut Marko shaking their heads at McLaren. Fernando Alonso was retiring. Gearbox problems for him on his return to the Principality.
No McLarens in the World Championship points today.
Max Verstappen still going for it. Carlos Sainz there cutting the chicane, but then a lap later Verstappen had a little go, and he too cut the chicane, but only just. The team warned him after this, try and make it a little cleaner next time around. The stewards took absolutely no action. Verstappen, some great moves today, but Leclerc in trouble with his brakes.
Yeah, left front brake failed. He was up against the barriers, desperately trying to stay out of the back of the Toro Rosso, and that's an expensive accident.
Brendan Hartley retiring, Alonso retiring, Charles Leclerc retiring, the only 3 retirees from the race. But there could only be one winner, and it was Daniel Ricciardo. Smiles and congratulations to his former teammates, and the trophy he wanted 2 years ago, he finally gets to hold aloft today. Champagne and smiles, and maybe a few more negotiations and a few more dollars in those negotiations for his contract offer. No shoey for Prince Albert, but he gets one of his own.
And of all the shoeys, perhaps that will have tasted the sweetest. After everything that happened in 2016, he has righted what he felt he was wrong last time out. Daniel Ricciardo victorious here. Next up for us, Canada, in a fortnight's time.
Take the trophy if you want. I'll give this to the
Well, it is a popular Grand Prix, this one, we have to say. Will be live from Montreal in a fortnight's time, June the 8th to the 10th, for that Canadian Grand Prix. Race 7, elsewhere across Sky Sports. Right now on Sky Sports Football, a League One playoff final, Rotherham against Shrewsbury. England against the Barbarians is now on Sky Sports Action. If you're into Rugby Union and the IPL final, Super Kings against the Sunrisers is right now on Sky Sports Mix. And as spring draws to a close, we've got a great summer of sport ahead on Sky Sports.
All right.